Hi, and welcome to another edition of Zombiepalooza Radio. We're going to be having a really cool 5-hour radio show tonight for you. Hope you enjoy the show. Right now, I'm going to be bringing in our number one zombie in a couple of minutes, hopefully. And that would be Dead Door William, or Double D as he's known. This event will begin in. Oh, no. I'm having all kinds of fun tonight. This thing just doesn't want to load right. It says it's live right now. The goblins in the machine are giving me all kinds of ache. Does it still say it will start in 24 hours, or is it live right now?
Check.
Huh?
We double check. Oh, it's live.
All right, yeah, we're live, and we are, of course, Zombiepalooza Radio Live, and we are with number one chair co-host Dead Door William. Say hey, Dead Door.
Hey, Dead Door. Hey, zombie people out there in YouTube land and everywhere else.
All right, I'm going to go and get our first guest. And so I'm going to go do that now. And that would be Bruce Downs. And let's see, here we go. Let's get over there and get where I'm supposed to be. Ta-da! There's the link. I'm going to be bringing. Okay, so Bruce Downs, come on down. And we are going to get started. How's Crunchy doing?
I'm doing good.
Cool. You ready to hit the road with this 5-hour thing going on here?
Yeah, like usual.
Cool. All right. So right now we're waiting for Bruce Downs, and let's see.
Got my caffeine injected nuts, cashews.
Snacks and everything else. Did you feed Dead Door? Did he eat?
Yeah, he's had some finger food and foot food and some brain food.
It's funny though. Sometimes he forgets to eat, and I'm kind of like, why? Just.
Well, that's because he don't eat enough brain food.
Well, that is true. You gotta feed your body right.
Yeah. So I gotta find some good brains for him to eat. We're lacking in the brain department around here.
I'm looking for Bruce Downs. He's supposed to be on first, according to Giles. Shepard, who is a creator of Ace the Zombie. You remember that film? Ace the Zombie?
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I don't know
Did
where.
show me that?
That was a good one.
So we got a whole lineup of writers, directors.
Yeah, they're all going to be talking about this Atlanta vampire movie. That's the newest creation, Giles Shepard's.
Oh, how excited are you to have a movie after you, Miss Vampire? Miss...
Yeah,
All these movies about Dead Door, none about Jackie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, All right. I do not understand why I am not getting. Where is he?
Better yet, have we heard from Scott yet?
Yeah, I don't know where Scott is either. Scott is.
Let's see.
We're still waiting for Bruce. I don't know, there might be an issue with him clicking on a link that maybe was dead or something.
Yeah, he might have been clicking the wrong link. But like, he's the producer, the director.
Alright, hang on, wait a minute. Things can get a little wonky sometimes. Did you click on that link? There you go. We're there. We're live. We're right there, waiting for you. Yeah, might have been clicking on the other link, so hopefully we can bring him in and we can get going. Because I know we're on the air. Giles just said that he saw that we were on. I know, right? Hi. Why is he not able to get into this thing? There is no reason why he should not be able to. I backed out and made an entirely new link. And I have no Bruce. Yes, folks, this is my first radio rodeo. Why would he? There he is.
Hello.
Finally. What happened?
I don't know. I was sitting here watching the show on my, but somehow we didn't connect. So I tried it a second time and it worked.
Okay. All right. You need to close that off because we don't. On that day, were you? And I told you we were live. And I had to shut that down. I wish I didn't have to do that. All right. Okay. So we have right now. Not exactly the way I wanted to start, but we are rolling with Bruce Downs, and the show must go on. So we're going to first introduce you to our #1 zombie co-host, #1 chair, Dead Door William. Dead Door, go ahead and say hi to Bruce Downs.
Hey, Bruce, welcome to the show. Excited about all this.
Hello, how are you?
All right.
I am good and dead.
Your sounds are coming out crunched up again, so go ahead and back out and come back in. All right, so Bruce Downs is the owner of Mile 29 Films, and he's gotten bitten by the acting bug and the set, I should say, of Ace the Zombie, and you got hooked right then. And for most of the people that have heard the show before, Ace the Zombie was put together by Giles Shepard. You then, after being hooked with Ace the Zombie, went on with your son Bruce, who was then 13, and you wrote your first screenplay called Zombie Love. You shot it with some help of your friends, and it turned out better than expected and was screened at the Atlanta Summer Sci-Fi Convention. After receiving encouragement to continue with films and directing, you and Bruce wrote and directed a short film, Zombie Party. It's a PSA for don't do drugs. And very, very cool. Marketing to the teens. Pretty cool. After that, you went on to write a short film that was written by Rob Fox called No More Forgiveness. No More Forgiveness was accepted at every film festival, submitted with a don't drink and drive message, and has aired on Atlanta's PBS station, PBA 32 times during the month of November 2015. Bruce also served on his first feature-length film, Atlanta Vampire Movie, wearing many hats, from associate producer, AD, location scout, directing marketer, distribution, and when he learned the feature-length filmmaking side of the business, you went on to start a couple of other projects. Now you're in pre-production with your most aggressive and highest budgeted film to date called Carter's Lens, which is one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, because I saw that and I went, that looks really interesting. So we're going to be talking about that. You've also worked, Bruce also works for Dead, Buried, and Black, or Dead, Buried, and Back. Try to say that 3 times fast. Online magazine with marketing, promotional work, and with Atlanta indie filmmaker interviews. You're also involved in casting Atlanta-based actors for upcoming horror film feature, and will have a small part in it as well. So you love film. What is it about being on set that you really, really enjoy?
Oh, it's incredible. When the first time I was on set was on the Giles Ace the Zombie movie. My son was a young actor, about 13, and so we spent a weekend down in Milledgeville. And when you're spending a weekend in a prison, we got to talk to a lot of the people, got to meet everybody behind the scenes, and it was a great small community of people that are really friends, and so my son, seeing him on camera, I kind of realized that he needed a little more time, in front of a camera. So we wrote a script together, and just more for practice for him. But it turned out pretty good, and I'm actually kind of proud of it. And it's like approaching 8,000 views on YouTube.
Wow.
So it was made for YouTube, but it was great. So Giles was incredible for me. He, took me under his wing and encouraged me and showed me different things of what to do and how to do it. And with the Ace Zombie movie, I was actually in the movie quite often, invited back for many scenes. I was killed one time by a gunshot up against a porta potty, and I was killed another time and chainsawed into pieces. So it was a lot of fun, and again, I think it's the network of the people got me really interested in doing this. So it's just it's an environment that it's just really hard to explain until you're on an indie film, low budget type thing where everybody's helping everybody, and everybody's in it together. Everybody has the desire to put out a nice product. And it was just really contagious to me.
That's cool. All right, so
Is it like one big family?
It's a huge family. In fact, I was working on the film credits for our current movie that's in post-production, Atlanta Vampire movie, and I believe that we're about like around 180 different credits. So it's not like a when you do it and you have a lot of volunteers, you have people come in and out. We have a lot of people that are doing some incredible work in post-production, but the family grows over a course of a film, especially a feature-length film.
All right, you have any other questions, Dead Door?
No. I'll think of some more later.
I'm sure you will. All right, so talk about, you named a number of things in your bio that you are familiar with, and I know that we have a lot of people that watch this program that are interested in how to get a small production put together. Now you have a lot of very intricate details that need to go into starting a short film. What is the first thing that you need to tackle as far as the concept of the film?
The story is everything. It's all about the script. There's the writer who wrote for Ace Zombie, Rob Fox, wrote a short story that you can buy on Amazon called No More Forgiveness, and I bought it and I read it and I loved it. It's a ghost story, psychological thriller, and I had previously been involved in 3 zombie movies, so it was a little bit of a change for me. But what I liked about the story is that it had a message, and that message was a don't drink and drive type message. We don't beat anybody over the head with it. We don't give statistics or anything like that.
Right.
And because of that, we got a tremendous amount of support. Fulton County provided us with a stunt driver. They closed part of a highway down for us, Buford Highway, to where we can shoot a scene with the stunt driver pulling out into traffic. Then Gwinnett County let us shoot in the jail. They have a jailhouse, and we got to shoot there on a Friday night. And then Hall County, another county, Metro County, they provided us with a jailer uniform. They closed down and kind of redirected traffic a little bit, but out where we were able to shoot 2 fatal car crash scenes. And that was like an all-night type shoot. So, when you have a story that the community wants to support, when you do a PSA, and if it's not a, the first PSA I did was the zombie one. I was trying to think. I had a young son. What would he? If I gave him a PSA to watch, he's probably not interested. But if it was a zombie story that had a little message in it, then I can get him to watch it. And that's how I felt about the second story with No More Forgiveness. You have to have the great story. If you get the community support, then it's easier to get from some food. It's the locations. And then, I found that the actors are more excited about participating as well. It's not only doing something kind of cool, but also there's a good message to it. And everybody wants to be associated with something along that line.
I find that many people that get into this particular genre, especially with zombies, they have it's like a close-knit family, but they're scattered all over the globe, and there are a good amount of people that find different kinds of ways to be able to send the message through the use of Zompac. And anytime someone gets something that can actually get the kids to look and listen and pay attention, yeah, I'm all for that. Love that. All right, so we're going to talk probably a little bit more about the PSAs. 2011 Operation Lifesaver PSA spot with zombies. You wrote the screenplay for your very first commercial. Now, was what you were talking about, is that what this is?
No, this is a different one.
Okay.
I work for a railroad. I work for Norfolk Southern Corporation. And all the railroads sponsor Operation Lifesaver, which is an organization that works with younger kids about railroad safety, crossing tracks, not walking along right away and stuff like that. And their mascot happens to be an oversized brain called Brainy. So I thought that's a perfect opportunity to introduce a zombie to Brainy, right? So I wrote a script, I submitted it, and they weren't asking for it. But I found the marketing company that worked with us, and they're out of Tennessee. And I got in touch with them. I said I had an idea, and I submitted the script. And they said, "Wow, this is perfect timing. We are now in the process of delivering an idea to Operation Lifesaver for all the railroads to vote on." And at the time, it was for Unstoppable, the Denzel Washington movie. They were doing a takeoff on that. But Walking Dead was big in Atlanta. It was like the first season, and she told me that everybody in that office was Walking Dead fans, and that she would present it to the team. And she presented to the team, and then she got in touch with me like the next day and said they like the idea so much they're going to submit both of them, to the railroads to vote on. And they voted, and they picked my little spot, and that's what they filmed. And they filmed it in Memphis. We were actually invited, my son and I both were invited to be in it, but it was his last day of middle school. And so, it was their big day. They get to walk the halls and all that kind of stuff. So, we didn't go for that shoot, but it turned out really good. Of course, they changed the ending a little bit on me, but it's really a nice little PSA.
It says also about Operation Lifesaver, the programs are co-sponsored by federal, state, and local government agencies, highway safety organizations, and America's railroads. Together we promote the 3 E's, education, enforcement, and engineering, to keep people safe around the tracks and railroad crossings within our communities. Be safe, don't lose your brains.
There you go.
Stay off the railroad tracks.
That's right.
Period. End of sentence. All right, moving along. We have a film called No More Forgiveness. You produced and directed this film. Now, I'm interested in looking at what it takes to be able to make a screenplay. We have a lot of authors that come on, and they talk very often about wanting to try and turn their works into screenplay. What is one of the first things that you as a creative need to be aware of before you start on the road to taking a novel and working it into a screenplay?
That's a real interesting question, and one of the things I discovered with my first film that I wrote the screenplay for, it was good, but there's better writers out there, and it's all about the story. So I contacted Rob Fox, who wrote No More Forgiveness, and he also, like I said, he wrote Ace the Zombie. And I told him I really wanted to shoot the movie, and asked him if he would be interested in writing the screenplay for it. If he wasn't, then I was going to give it a shot. But he is an incredible writer. It turned out really good. In fact, I don't know how well this is going to work. I was going to show you a poster.
Yeah,
so
please.
So let's see if you can see. Tell me if I need to raise it, lower it, or.
Oh wow! It's like.
Oh no!
It went that way, folks.
There we go. That had an effect on my poster, huh? Well, that didn't work the way I planned. Let's see, where did that thing go? All right, I'm gonna hold this for a second till I find my stand. There it is.
I know, right?
That's too funny. Unfortunately, it's not funny on TV, I guess, but it's funny. But it's
live, so we go with it.
So it's a really cool poster. We have a great artist that helps us with it, Joseph Richardson, who I've used on 4 projects now. He did the artwork for Atlanta Vampire movie, the artwork for the other projects I mentioned.
What is it about his particular technique that you guys really decided to pick him to pick Joseph?
He always surprises us with a vision that I didn't see. I was going to show you the artwork for the Atlanta Vampire movie in a different way, so it won't get the wire. But
oh wow, look at that.
Where you can't see the eyes of the vampires, from that point up, really does good work. And
I like the way that it's angled like that because I'm so tired of people just taking shots from like head on, and let's talk about that. All right, the angle of the way you shoot something is going to express different things. Right. And if you are always just focused just right with what's in front of you, very often that tends to get really boring. And it doesn't give the individual that's watching it enough scope of information because a lot of that's very subtle, right?
Correct.
So talk about camera angles and having the right shot.
Okay, and the environment of a scene obviously sets up the story. Two people sitting on a park bench just talking, and you're just watching the two people is going to be pretty boring, as you said. But seeing their environment, what might be influencing the discussion, the tone of voice, the excitement of their voice, that type thing, definitely plays into. You're looking at the scene as you're telling a story. So how are you going to make the story to a point where people are interested in watching it? Dialogue is very important, but there's more to it than just dialogue.
Talk a little bit about the sound effects and the different kinds of things that you need to be aware of when you're shooting outside, as opposed to looking at it inside after you've filmed it and making sure that the sounds match up to where they need to be.
That's a very good point. We in No More Forgiveness, we shot a scene at a park, a neighborhood park, a park inside the neighborhood, and 2 houses down, a guy was mowing the yard the entire time. So it was difficult. Giles was my editor and worked on the sound on that particular project. And I think he told me he had to run it through 4 different programs and filters to get the sound up. You can't even hear the lawnmower at all in post-production. But it does create a lot of work after the fact, in post. So it's always best to try to get an environment where you have a little more control, in a controlled environment, but you don't always have, especially in indie filmmaking. We're not going to close down a park where we're the only people there. So if you have other people, you have to get them to sign release forms. There's other factors involved. There's hot shooting, is what we call it. We had a restaurant scene where we have a person staged outside. They tell us when a car pulls up, when we have to cut. We cut the scene, we let them come in, they order. If they eat inside, we try to encourage them to sit where we don't have them in camera. And if we do, we ask them if they'll sign our release forms and if they want to be in the movie. And so that's the fun part of indie filmmaking. And something else, like when you're in a restaurant and they happen to be playing music over the speakers, it's nice if you can encourage them to turn it off. That way, when you cut scenes and stuff, the music matches, because you just add music at the end.
Right.
But all those environments you have to consider. Their refrigerator's making a noise, when it's running in the background. All that picks up. Someone's cell phone's on vibrate in their pocket. You're going to pick it up. You're going to hear it.
Let's go to. All right, so you got a vision for how you want your screenplay. You're all locked in there, and you are serious as a heart attack about getting it done the way you want it done. And then you find out, you get to a point where you can't shoot a scene exactly the way you want it. Number one, after you're done screaming, yelling, and having a fit, what do you do?
You try not to scream, yell, and have a fit in front of anybody else. But what you do, when you're in the films that I've been involved in indie filmmaking, a lot of the actors may get a really good paying gig, and you may have to take a break.
Right.
You may be shooting, No More Forgiveness. It's a 19-minute movie, and I think we shot it over a course of maybe 9 weeks, shooting weekends only, between Friday night through Sunday, and again, because we try to find locations for free.
Mm-hmm.
We shot our very first night. We had to shoot about 50 miles outside the city at a location. Of course, it was heavy traffic. It's a Friday night, but everybody deals with it. We all know it's late nights. Not zombies, but the vampire movie. Vampires play at night. They don't play during the day, so it's a lot of night shooting. And
day's bad. Day's very, very bad. Let's get over to, nice segue, by the way, to Atlanta Vampire Movie. I heard this and I was like, oh my goodness, I think this is going to be a really, really cool idea. So the concept from what I had heard was that it was kind of like an idea that came off the last scene for Ace the Zombie, and without spoiling any of it, because you've got to see this flick, it is definitely hysterical. It's funny. It's a comedy.
Right.
So, without giving the back end of that film away, talk a little bit about the concept idea for Atlanta Vampire Movie and what you're going to be doing as part of it.
All right. So, basically, Giles and I were talking about the next movie. This is, Giles' project, and he wanted to shoot a vampire movie. It's a parallel world of the previous movie, and so we were talking about different screenwriters. I worked with a guy who's an incredible screenwriter. Who, I've only worked with incredible screenwriters. I'll say that to start off with. Right? And but Wiley McCain, and he's going to be one of your next guests. But I told him what we wanted to shoot, and I gave him, I believe, at that point, a copy of Ace the Zombie movie, and asked him if he wanted to come up with to pitch an idea for the movie. And it was really all his creation. And he 2 or 3 days later gave us a nice outline, to Giles, and Giles gave him a tremendous amount of feedback, I'm sure, about what characters he wanted from the other movie in it, and which ones can be brought over to the next movie. And it's a really funny story. I mean, there are so many jokes, so many references to other vampire movies.
Are there references to sparkly? You don't have. Are there sparkly vampires?
Yeah, there's one joke with that.
Yeah, do that.
I don't know how much I could spoil
yeah,
the movie.
Right. That's all you wanted. There you go.
It's
a comedy. It's funny.
It's a scene that he's, this sparkly vampire is only in the movie for like 15 seconds.
Yay!
And
off the air,
I'll tell you what we did because it's too funny. But it's pretty funny.
Yeah. All right. All I gotta say is true vampires do not sparkle. We also really don't like the daylight, but we have to deal with what we got to deal with. What is the most interesting aspect of creating in filmmaking for you?
What I find the most interesting thing is, one, I surround myself to the best I can with incredibly talented people, and there's so many parts of the filmmaking that I don't understand. That I'll never be able to be a good editor, or I'll never be able to do the visual effects and special effects and all this kind of stuff. And it's fun to watch people who are good at their craft come together and work as a team, and because everybody wants the same thing. They want an incredible movie. They want their name to be associated with something that they're going to be proud of for life. Because that's basically, when you make a movie, it's out there for life. It's out there. They'll be there longer than I will be. So it's fun to watch the people get together and collaborate in the making a movie that helps. My vision on a scene, somebody else may have a vision that blows me away, and
right.
It's just fun to see everybody together in that environment.
You lost your sound.
I lost my sound?
Yes, got it back.
It's back now?
It is.
I'm not moving. I swear. Crunchy's usually like, what's going on with your sound over there? Now where the heck was I going? Continuity.
Yeah, he kicked me in the shin.
Sorry. Continuity. Talk to us a little bit about shooting scenes where you've got long periods of time in between, and there's weather changes, there's lighting changes, and all of that kind of thing. What do you do to make sure that you get it as close as you possibly can? Do you take film? Do you take pictures? Do you mark places off? What do you do?
Yeah, I had a really good teacher in Giles, and our DP, Roy Gordon, on the last 2 projects. Actually, my last 3 projects. They're really into the detail of the scene. So when we shoot something, we know we may have to go back. We're in a bar scene with shot glasses everywhere and stuff. We'll call our set photographer over to take pictures of it. In case we need to come back and reset it. What you find out is that you do everything. You think you got it all right. Then you go to editing, and then you may see that this one shot that you really love. You just can't use it because of continuity issues on either side. And you can cover up a lot of continuity with close-up shots and pickup shots, but continuity is a challenge even on the big-budget movies. I just read an article on the movie with the girl who catches on fire, you know. But anyway, there were 17 continuity errors in this, multi-million-dollar, film. I don't know if there's that many in ours or not. We really work hard to fix it. If we see something, we fix it in post. Which is something that I was gonna say. It's something that we joke around. We'll fix it in post, but it's a nightmare for the guy who's doing the editing work. Or the visual.
The we doesn't really mean we. That we means that person over there is going to fix it all nice and good. Give me some saged advice for our young people who are interested in creating film.
I would think my route in filmmaking was that I served on other people's crews for a while. I was on I was in Giles' movie as an extra or whatever type thing, but also helped behind the scenes and watched everything behind the scenes. I knew the actors. I'll be able to see them on camera eventually, but the activity that moves on behind the scenes. Watch that, and there's probably 1,000 different ways to make a movie. Some are more efficient than others, but that doesn't matter if you have friends working on a project. Now I have a cell phone that can shoot 4K, so you don't have to have the very expensive cameras anymore.
These things. This is Samsung Note 3, and we've done a little bit of shooting with the video aspect of it, and you've got balances, you've got some things that you can actually work with in these, and I'm sure with the later generations, that are coming out, the latest ones, you can pretty much shoot the whole dang thing with it if you so choose.
Right. And of course, I'd rather, you can, but the nice, expensive cameras will win out. But for a YouTube production that can have hundreds of thousands of hits, can be shot with a camera or with a cell phone. So,
I need to get over a hot minute and talk to you about Carter's Lens, which is, like I said, the reason why I brought you over here in the first place. You were the producer, director, and had many other hats. It's in pre-production, currently in the Capital Fund raising stage. Pitch video will be released in 2 weeks. Expected cinema release, Valentine Week 2017. Talk about Carter's Lens. What is it about?
It is a incredible love story about two adults who meet at a time when the lead is losing his eyesight. It is uplifting. It's far from my horror past. So it's a change for me. But it's a movie that it's a love story which all of us have experienced at some point at some with somebody, and you have a couple that you want to root for, with an incredible twist that will just you won't see it coming, but when it happens, it's done beautifully through photography, and it will make you say wow, and it will make you want, your perception of people will change at that moment. And in fact, I'll tell you a story. I was at the World Horror Convention, and I was Michael Massey's handler, and so there's a lot of downtime over the course of a weekend. So we were talking about the movie, and he wanted to know more about it. So I basically fed him the movie page by page. And when we got to the big reveal scene, he was blown away and said, "I want to be in your movie." And I'm like, "Well, that's great, but I don't have the kind of budget to bring you from California, all that stuff." And he's worked with us, and over it, and I can't wait to have him in the movie. It's going to be against typecast. He's typically the villain, bad guy kind of person in movies and TV shows, and he's actually going to play a retired age priest in our movie who kind of counsels and guides Carter while he's struggling with his loss of eyesight. And he's a photographer, and he's entering a contest during this process, and so it's again, it is an uplifting, but there's some tough points in this movie, and it's very realistic. In this movie, we try to applaud the different organizations that work with people with either disabilities visually or special needs. And we did a table read. We had 13 actors from as far away as Alabama, to local, and we did this in front of 28 organizations. Then we did a focus group afterwards because we want the support of the community that this movie is kind of based around. The guy's losing his eyesight and everything.
Right.
And we got incredible feedback. We made a few minor changes in the script, but it worked perfectly for it, and it improved the story a little bit. And I thought the story was already fantastic. So it's tough to change something that you already like a lot. But we're really excited with the direction that we're going in with it.
Talk to me about the concept that I'm going to throw out there. I like to take pictures, and it's not necessarily photography because for me it's just pictures. I'm not trained in any of that stuff, but sometimes I get lucky and I get some really nice shots. And I like to listen to people that understand what it is like to go out and shoot different people or different locations and things of that sort. What is in front of the camera is
You cut out. I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. I lost your audio.
Is it back on again?
Yes, you're good there.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with my headset. I'm getting a new one in a couple of weeks.
All right.
This one's about had it. All right. So where was I?
About photography and.
All right. So when you have something that is in front of the camera and you know that this is what you're going to shoot. If it's just objects, it's pretty plain and simple. You just go in there and you just shoot the thing, and you try to get the proper direction and lighting and all of that fun stuff. But if it is an actor or a model of some sort, and you're asked to go and either do video of them or to take a photo of them, I found that that your perspective is sometimes more important because you're putting what you know works into this so that you can get the best presentation you can possibly get on film. Talk about that necessity for having that perspectives that you can bring to a piece.
Well, there's more than just the subject, the actor, and the camera. You have a set director, who sets the scene. May bring the props that we need, for the scene. You have, the lighting team. You have the DP, of course.
Right.
And a lot of the models or the actors, they've done it before. We're bringing in people who are highly thought of and in demand, and they know how to present themselves. They become the character. They don't act like the character. They become the character, and they do a very good job. And when all these pieces come together, and it turns out exactly as you envision, or a lot of times a lot better. So it's really fun. It's exciting because when you shoot a scene and you got it, and then it goes into post and the colorist does the grading on it and it pops more, and
Right.
there's all these other factors that come in and enhance your picture. And so you tell them what theme you're looking for or what kind of image you want, and then you let the creative people be creative. And that's what I try to do because I'm not an expert at all this stuff, and I've been kind of around film for only 6 years. I work with people who've been around it a lot longer than me, and who am I to tell somebody who's the DP? I can tell him what my vision is, but I want to listen to him, and we collaborate, we work on it, and we get the image that we want, and it works. And I have no problem with trusting the people I bring around on my team to be able to, share my story, for us to put out a product that we are not only going to be proud of, but people will want to watch.
talk to me, because we haven't talked too much about the guts and inside of filmmaking. I'm interested in finding out if you've ever had a lighting situation that you just were at odds with and you couldn't figure out how to get the right temperature of the lighting, and once you did, you went, finally, what did you have to do to get it that way?
Yeah, the only time I can think of where we may have had some lighting issues was in the bar scene, and we brought in a lot of lights. We got it set up. The lights get very hot.
Yeah, they do.
We had to be out like by 5 a.m. for the cleaning crew. We got finished filming like at 4:45, but it takes like 45 minutes to an hour for the lights to cool off after the fact. But it's the eye of looking at through the lens of the camera as well. You bounce the light off the ceiling, off the wall, directly, filtered. We set it up, we kind of look at it, and we decide what is working best. And knowing that even if it's not perfect, we can make it perfect in post. It requires more time, and it may, post department may hate me for it, but again, everybody wants a good product, and they're not going to put something out that's not a good product.
Right. All right. So you've been around filmmaking for what, 5 or 6 years now?
Yeah, this is the 6th year.
What have you learned about yourself in that time?
Oh, that's a good question. I think what I like. I mean, I accept that I have a lot to learn, and I learn on every film. And I don't want to try to sell myself off as being the best up and coming director and all that stuff, because I'm not. But I am getting better with each film, and that's my goal. Is if I'm on my 20th film, I'm still getting better. So I think what I liked about myself in this process is that I put my ego down, and I try to get the best team around me possible, and I'm willing to listen, share our thoughts. And if we're both dead strong in two different ways, probably 70-80% of the time we're going to go my way, and sometimes when I really don't know, but I know what I want, but I don't know if it will work, I'm going to trust my DP, who has a lot more experience than me.
Very cool. All right, I want you to talk a little bit about Dead, Buried, and Back online magazine.
All right, it's we cover basically the whole world, but we focus in the southeast United States typically, and we go to. In fact, this weekend is the Dead, Buried. Is the Dead Days of the Dead Festival here in Atlanta.
Yes, it is. Woo-hoo!
So we have, and Stan, who also does some marketing work for Dead, Buried, and Back, is one of your guests, and he's going to be in his zombie costume.
You're spoiling stuff for me.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
No spoilers. Hashtag
so
no spoilers.
What we do, we get a lot of stuff from different movies. We get a lot of passes. We do a lot of giveaways, and we go and we just cover the event. And what I like too is that we also cover independent filmmaking. And so I've been able to network with a lot of independent filmmakers, visit their sets, get the interviews with either cast, even crew members, of course, the filmmaker himself, and I can see how other sets are run. But it's an online community with I think over like 16,000 subscribers on the website, and it's been a great experience for me. I've met Michael Massey, I met John Ferris, an author in Atlanta. I've met some incredible independent filmmakers, and when I've seen some of their films, I'm like, this is incredible, and you do really good work, and so it's been a good experience for me, and we are covering the community of the horror community. And we try to do more personal stuff with it than just what we can see on any other type website out there. So it's been good.
Very awesome. All right. Let's see here. Where am I going to go with this? Yeah, go ahead, Dead Door.
You just did a drama, so question is drama or horror? Which is your favorite to do?
My background's in horror, so but Carter's Lens is a story that I've always wanted to tell. It's a community I've been involved in for 30 years, so I'm excited about that opportunity. So I'm combining two passions, but two passions in the sense of filmmaking and the special needs a little bit there with that, even though that's not the focal point. But horror is a fun community. I go to a lot of film festivals, through Dead, Buried, and Back. I see a lot of films. I enjoy the people that attend these activities and these festivals. It's something that I can see me always doing. Probably more so than drama or any other type movie. But
Very cool.
I'm open to grow.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the idea that you have a wide range, that you are not only just focusing in on a particular age group or a particular genre. I think that someone coming from your background would be able to offer any project a wider scope on what their initial idea is, what their initial concept is. So it's very fortunate that you can do that, and it is quite clear that you enjoy doing it as well.
I sure do.
All right, so we now have Scott Pearson on, who is our researcher for Zombiepalooza Radio and head of all things green. Scott, you want to chime in there for a minute?
Well, I was actually just going through the IMDb page. I apologize for being late for the show. I had to give a police report.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. Just.
I am very much intrigued in your Atlanta vampire movie, and I'm curious what your most enjoyable moment was while making it.
Oh, great question. We have fun in making movies. The behind-the-scenes stuff is fun. We have a good group of people. There were challenges. One, I'm typically the guy who goes to bed early and wakes up early, and there are a lot of late-night shoots. So that's kind of fun too. But the fun part is still always going to be what happens off the camera. And you become a family, type thing. And I know that sounds, bad, whatever, but it's a.
It's the way it needs to be for a good production.
Yeah, I think so. And we have fun. Yeah, if you don't have fun while you're spending 16 or Atlanta Vampire movie we shot for about 6 months on weekends. So you're spending a lot of time with people. So you need to have fun.
All right, Scott, you want to ask one more before I go do the next thing I'm going to do?
Well, I'm.
All right,
I'm planning to playing catch up here. I'm just looking at Carter's Lens now.
All right.
Let me tell you a little bit about Carter's Lens, because
sure.
we cast 3 nationally known or recognizable names. I mentioned Michael Massey, who was in the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies, and he's been in a lot of other TV productions and stuff. But also, I happened to be at a corn maze in the next town over the last night they were open, and while I was there, there was a film crew there filming a horror film in the corn maze. And so I was talking to the owner. We got to talking. He goes, "Yeah, I was helping this young group out. They haven't, it's a young production company, and I told them they can shoot all night long." But anyway, so we started talking, and I told him, that I was a filmmaker as well, and that, I'm in pre-production, and he went on to share with me that he has a nationally televised show called Small Town Big Deal, and it's on like 147 networks, and so. I was really intrigued now with the conversation. So, we exchanged business cards, and my angle on it was kind of hoping that maybe he might find Carter's Lens a story that he might want to cover. So, Small Town, basically what they're doing is they're traveling to all 50 states, and they're doing a story in each state. And so, while we're kind of going back and forth, he told me that he was intrigued with film. He's never been involved with film. So I said, well, here, let me share. I'll be happy to share the script with you. So he signed a non-disclosure. I sent him the script, and he read it. I assume he read it, and he called me back and he said, I have a friend who I think would be very interested in your production. Do you mind if I share it with her? And I said, well, who is it? And it's Jan Carl. And Jan Carl, I'm quickly looking her up on IMDb. She was on Entertainment Tonight for 14 years. She's a 3-time Emmy Award winner. And so I said, absolutely, send it to her. And she came back and said, I love it, and I want to be in it as well. So we have 3 big names. So, this is not to mention our 2 lead actors, who I think are the 2 hottest, upcoming actors in Atlanta. So, we have the making of a really special movie, so we're really excited with that.
I want to know the moment when you got that call from her, Jan.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I didn't get it direct. That's the bummer. She was dealing through Ronnie Miller, he's the guy that owns Small Town Big Deal. And hello, are you okay? You flipped over. I did that earlier.
We're still getting the
So she was working through him, and it was about a few weeks later before I actually was able to get her email address. So I was dealing through him in between. So, but no, it's great. They're actually out of town now filming. So we're gonna have to work a little bit around their schedule as well. But it's something that we're excited to work around their schedule to have those 2 in the movie.
All right, that's very cool. I am actually at 9:15. We have a couple of people we need to bring on to the show. If you want to hang out for a hot minute, you can say hi to them.
Sure will. Jackie, I
All
want
right.
to appreciate it. Scott, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did Flora, is that right?
Dead door.
Dead door.
Did Door. I appreciate it, man. Well, I had a fun time, so I thank you for inviting me onto your program.
All right, so this I want to show you. I'm going to put this up on the front. This is your, hang on. Yeah, there I am. This is all of the notes I took during this interview.
All right.
All right, so, and I might even send them to you and sign them or something like that, and you can take it and burn it or put it on your wall or something.
No. I'll frame it and put it in my office.
All right. Hey, that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to go over and get Wiley and Giles. Wiley and Giles, you're now allowed to press the button. Please press the button.
And when I get off...
While we're waiting, you can take segments of this video and post them on Amazon. Should you put the movies on Amazon for sale, you can post segments of this.
Fantastic.
Yes, you can.
So I have permission to be able to use it. That's great. Yeah,
absolutely.
We appreciate it, and we'll use it as some marketing material.
While we're waiting, I do have one quick question.
All right.
Why did you get into the film industry?
Why did I get into the film industry?
Yeah.
Mainly at the beginning was for the benefit of my son. My son was a theater actor for years, when he reached around 13, it's all about singing, and he was a decent voice, but nothing fantastic. So he wanted to get into film, and at that young age, an adult has to be on set with a child actor, and so it was me doing it, thinking that I'll make movies for him to be able to be in. Now he played a great zombie. He had a great zombie scene in our movie where he gets run over by a car and all this kind of stuff. But he we had incredible makeup artists. We had Netherworld. A lot of the makeup artists from that production help us with it. And I was going to show you a quick picture of my son, some artwork, while we're waiting on our next guest. Let's see
I'm waiting for Giles right now. I have Wiley. Welcome to the show, Wiley. Yeah, I got him. Thanks, right Jackie. There. Hey, thank you for clicking on the button and being here this evening. And let's see, we're waiting for Bruce
Giles
to be able to. Well, yes, we're waiting on Giles too, but we're waiting on Bruce to. Wow, that's actually really pretty cool.
Can you see it? Whoops.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's So you can see it now. I can't see where I'm at on it. I see you, but oh yeah, you can see my son. Yeah, that was done. Some touch up after the fact, but they did a fantastic job with the makeup. Throughout the whole production.
Nice keyboard.
Sorry.
I like that too. All right, so we're going to move right into our next segment. I don't think I'm going to be taking a break this evening, so this is going to be fun. All right, we have with us, let's see, who do we have with us? We have Wiley and we have Giles, and they are all part of Atlanta Vampire Movie. And they're bringing a number of different kinds of aspects to this particular creation. I'm going to introduce everybody. Wiley, this is Scott Pearson. He is head of all things green and our research department. Say hi.
Welcome to the show, Wiley.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And we also have, thank you, you're welcome. And we also have with us Dead Door William. He is our resident zombie for Zombiepalooza Radio, first chair co-host. Go ahead.
Good evening, Wiley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening.
All right, and we got a couple of people that are on here. We have Bruce, and Mr. Downs.
I do. Hey, Bruce, what's going on? I watched your part. You did great, and it's exciting stuff. I mean, Atlanta Vampire Movie and Carter's Lens, the things that have been happening, I think your enthusiasm came through, and I enjoyed watching it.
Thank you. And Wiley is the screenwriter for both movies. So Wiley and I have worked together very closely, and he's a great guy. You're going to enjoy the interview with him.
And then, of course, we have the man that started all of this, Giles Shepard. Welcome to the show, Giles.
How are you, Jackie?
I don't know yet. I'm going to see if I can have somebody tell me.
I just want to say what an honor it is to be on with such a fine group of folks.
That's cool. See? Feeling the love here. All right, I'm going to get my stuff together here. When am I going to get my stuff together? All right, so Wiley's last name is McCain, and of course we have Giles Shepard here with us. And all right, so let's talk to Wiley first. I had a nice little conversation with you a few nights ago, and we were talking about different kinds of things that go into film production. Remember?
Yes, I do.
All right, so let's get you back over here. What is it about the creative process in filmmaking that has made you so effective in what you do?
I think a lot of it has to do, for my own abilities, would be story structure. I'm actually a civil engineer by education and training, and I I of course also enjoyed writing, but I like the structure of a story and how it fits together a lot like you would build something. So I think that I have that bit of skill there that actually bring over from something that I've been doing for many years into my creative writing and my creative process.
All right, so in order to avoid the most tedious questions that you've probably been pounded with over the years of creating in film, talk to me about the importance of dialogue when it comes to creating even a short film.
Well, for me, dialogue has got to be succinct. I want the conversations to be very natural. I definitely don't try to overwrite dialogue. I just sort of just feel it and put it on the page, and then of course I go back and read it many times over to make sure that it sounds okay. But I like to keep things brief, and I think that gives a more natural feel to a film and makes it more realistic.
All right. If you sent an email in with your information, I didn't get that. So we are going to go about things a little bit differently. I did take a copious notes when we were talking before. Pacing. Let's talk about pacing. When you are creating a film, very often, I refer to this kind of thing as the movement for the actual film itself. It allows for you to be able to get all of the nuances that maybe they're not saying in the dialogue. It helps to push it along. Talk to me about pacing.
Sure. I mean, every scene, of course, has to move the story forward, and you don't want any extra scenes. Obviously, they're going to get cut anyway if they're not critical to the story or character development. So I follow basically a typical 3-act structure. You increase the drama throughout to the climax and the payoff, and then you basically take things down in the last of the 3rd act and resolve any issues. But I will take actually a piece of paper and plot out my plot points to make sure that the tension's building to the climax. And of course, like I said, I'm an engineer, so I kind of like to draw schematics, and I'll actually graph out the story, and then make sure that I've got certain plot points occurring where I want in the film. And that
doesn't it just bring a tear to your eye? I mean it, Wiley. I'm just so impressed.
Oh, thanks, Giles.
And I concur with Bruce. Wiley is the reason that this movie is going to be such a success. It's all about the script, dude. It's all about you.
Well, I know Giles often pays me compliments on the screenplay, and I appreciate it because I love it. I mean, at the risk of sounding a little arrogant, and I'm trying not to, but I really do love the story. I put a lot of heart into it, but I also did it for someone who took that and made it into a film, which I couldn't do. And Giles, I think, has done a great job of putting the movie together, and all the bitter and the sweet that go together with that. He's done a fantastic job, and I've seen the. Oh, go ahead.
I had a lot of help. That's all I was going to say.
Right, there's a great team. Absolutely a great team.
Okay, guys. All right, so let's talk a little bit about. Let's get off there. Let's put you back on here. There. It's all about the guests, not about the host. All right, so sound production. We talked a little bit about this in the first segment. I'm interested in some of your perspective when it comes to making sure that the tones are correct and things that you want are in and can be heard, and other things in the background are erased.
I think that's a Giles question.
I was going to ask you, was that directed at me?
I think maybe we'll go over to Giles since that's his department. Go for it.
I can handle it. Being a director, you can't possibly be an expert in every single field. It's foolhardy to try. It would take you forever to make a film if you try to do every job. So we have a dedicated sound person. In this case, for Land of Empire movie, and I think for also No More Forgiveness also, right, Bruce?
That's correct.
Yeah, and that was his job. He was listening with the headphones. Hey, wait, I can still hear that airplane. Oh, somebody flushed the toilet. I can hear it, and to get us down.
I'm sorry. This is Ando Poor.
Oh, did I not say his name? Oh, I'm sorry, Ando. And his wife Katie May was quite often an operator and Slate. What else did she do? What didn't she do? Yeah.
First camera.
Oh yeah, she stayed busy the whole time. I kind of went sideways with that question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I kind of need to roll you back. Guys, if you are not actually being spoken to, I'd like you to mute your mics or whatever you got to do, because we're getting some extra noise too that we don't need. Speaking of noise and stuff in the background.
Will do.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate you. So, back over to Giles, and there you go. Sit back a little bit so we can see you when you can, okay? First, if you guys can, there's no way to be able to mute your mics on the other side, the ones that are not speaking right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually disconnect. I'm not sure how to leave the conversation.
You can go up to the top, and there should be a red phone, and you should be able to click on it and leave the call.
All right, I see it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. There he goes. All right. Well, okay, so we've got a little bit of interference, but we can work with that. All right. The very first time.
Oh, sorry.
The very first time that I spoke to you, we were talking about Ace the Zombie. Now that you've gotten a couple of other projects behind your belt, where do you think you're going to go next?
Director for hire, freelance editor, who knows? I'm going to stay busy. I figure at least 20 more productive years that I plan on making movies. So, yeah, I'm going with budgets. I've made 2 movies that were embarrassingly cheap now because of the good graces of my friends and a lot of volunteers. But yeah, it's time to start paying people. So I'm moving up. All those positive posts that you see me making, yeah, it's actually for real.
It's very difficult to be an indie producer and be able to keep up the motivation, to be able to keep up the pace, so to speak, of working in something where you're not quite sure if you know where it's going or if people will really like it. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that was part of the problem with Ace the Zombie. That's why it's just kind of sitting there. I mean, it's available if you dig hard enough. You can find it online to stream it for free or for $2 or whatever you want to pay, or not. I went through a whole bunch of distributors that didn't pan out, but nobody that you'd ever heard of or that had ever done anything, actually what you'd consider successful. So it sat there. But this production, I don't know if you believe in numbers or luck or any of that stuff, but this is my 23rd official production. You know, I've got the 21 Sinks, that Dark Side of the Rainbow thing that I did, 21 of those, plus Ace of Zombies, 22. This makes 23 Land of Vampire movies. So, and it's taken me since 1999 to get here. Can you believe it? An overnight 17-year success story.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to move over to Scott Pearson and have him ask his first question. Pick one.
Hi, Scott.
How you doing? Actually, I'd like to ask Wiley a question on his end of the production. You said that you plotted out the screenplays. Did you write them, or do your characters have a say in what happens in your production? How thoroughly do you create your characters? I have something I call writing, where the writer actually becomes, like the actor becomes a character.
Right, certainly.
All of the characters, because once you know them, you toss something between them, and they do the writing. Do you do that?
Right. Yes, I learn really who the character is, of course, while I'm writing. And so like I said, I plot things out. I start with an outline, so I know where my story's going to go. I like to know where I'm going to end up before I start. But when you bring the characters in and try to take them through this story, sometimes they don't want to do. And I don't really know how to explain that, except that that's just a part of writing, and often you get some of your best moments that way, is when the characters are taking on a life of their own and making their own decisions, interacting with other characters the way that they want to interact, and it even kind of seems kind of weird talking about them like they're real beings or something, but it is just part of the process, and I've usually been pleasantly surprised when my character wants to do something that I didn't really have in the outline. So that turns out pretty well sometimes.
Is Carter based on a real person?
For Carter's lens, Carter is not really based on a real person. I guess he's really several people, and I don't want to give any spoilers away, but you know he's visually impaired, and he has challenges, and that's I basically wrote him based on how I've experienced folks that also have challenges, you know, in real life, and that I've been around. So I tried to bring as much of that to bear as I possibly could. But no, he's not really based on a real, you know, single person.
You want to go again?
Sure.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm curious. This obviously is not your first two writing ventures. You've said as much. I'm curious. I've got like what I call my holy trinity of inspiration that led me to write, of Ray Bradbury, Rod Serling, and George Romero. Who was your inspiration to start writing, to start creating worlds?
Really, I guess once I got interested in writing screenplays, I sought out information and works of other writers. So I guess the initial inspiration was a story, and then from there I went and I found this wonderful website called wordplayer.com, which is still up. It was created probably in the mid-90s by Ted.
That's AOL.
It was done by Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, and they did Pirates of the Caribbean, Shrek, what else have they done? Tiny Soldiers or Toy Soldiers. But Pirates of the Caribbean, they did, of course, all of those movies, and it was they had articles what you could, and I would encourage anyone who's interested in getting into screenplays to go and read their articles, because they just had all types of wonderful insight, and plus I enjoy their work. I thought that their films were excellent. But they also had something cool and they had a forum, and you could post questions, of course, and they would sometimes get on there and respond and give you some feedback, which for me, just starting out, that was a huge lift to get feedback from folks that were so established. So that I'd say those two guys. Also, John August and Craig Mazin. John August wrote Big Fish. He's also done some Burton films, Frankenweenie. And Craig Mazin, I think, worked on Scary Movie 3 and the Hungover series 2 and 3, I think he worked on. But they also have a podcast that's running now. It's called Script Notes. I enjoy their work. I enjoy learning from them. They've had about 255 episodes, I think, is what they're up to right now. So there's just this huge amount of information that's out there that can really, inspire people. And I guess those guys do that because it feels good to give back and help other people along, because I'm sure they were inspired as well. So I've had those experiences with those writers that really has pushed my writing along and taken it to a level that I didn't think it was possible, as far as being able to write a screenplay. When I started out, I didn't know anything about writing a screenplay. I knew that I had an interesting story, and then I learned real fast that there are a lot of interesting stories, but there are not a lot of interesting screenplays. So it took a while to, just learn the craft, and of course I'm still learning. I will be learning till the day I die. So but it's a good process. I enjoy it.
I think you misunderstood my question. You told me everybody that's given you the ability to do it, but like growing up, what did you watch? Who did you read that inspired you to create?
Okay. I read a lot of Stephen King. When you read King, it to me, it is like watching a movie. So I'd say he's probably my favorite author. I'm kind of typical in that I watched a lot of Star Wars. I made my own little stop motion movies with my Rancor, which I still have on my shelf back here. So I guess the stories that I've written always seem to have an impact on people. So I've that really kind of inspired me to write more. Making that connection with other people, doing something that's fun. I don't know if did I still shank the question, or was that a little better?
Answers the question.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me get in there.
Ray Harryhausen. Yeah.
Hi. Remember me?
Hi.
Hey, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
All right. So, and that actually was really a very good piece that you guys just did. I like that, what you did there. All right. So, Wiley, do you see the film in your head before you go and shoot it? Or do you just go scene by scene as it is approaching in the screenplay?
When I'm writing it, I definitely see the movie in my head, and I am, with what Giles did with directing Atlanta Vampire movie, I was very impressed at how close he could get to what was in my head, which is a challenge, of course, to try to take something that's written and turn it into a film and capture all the elements that need to be captured for a good story. And Giles did a great job at that. I've got the locked copy of the movie pre-visual effects, and the day I got it, I watched it like 4 times, I think, because I just thought I was amazed that he put that together. Something that I had seen in my own mind, and really enjoyed it.
The last time you saw it too.
I know, and of course, I'm starving for more. I can't wait to see the finished movie, of course, and I know we're getting there. And I just every time I see it, I wanna see it again, and I hope that's the way that people feel about the movie, is that they do want to see it over and over, right? Because that's what we want, and I think that's where we're going to be.
All right, we're going to move over into production design. We're going to be talking about the different settings, backgrounds, and things of these sorts that you used for Atlanta Vampire movie. When you go and you shoot a film, you're going to need locations, right?
Right.
That's correct.
Talk to me about the process of getting locations for your films.
You want to take it, Wiley, or shall I?
I can maybe start it a little bit. When you're doing independent film, locations is a big piece of the puzzle. And when I try to have that in mind when I'm writing, to not have extravagant sets, exotic locations, that sort of thing. But Giles, early on when I was writing and I was kind of telling him what I was trying to write for, he said, "Man, don't hold yourself back. Just we can make it happen. Just write what the story is." So that's kind of where I went with it. I try not to get limited on where I thought we might have location challenges. So Giles can talk more about, I guess.
All right, yeah. Giles, pick up and talk about film locations, why they're important to the actual screenplay, how settings can draw in people who will want to see it because they've seen it, they live there, they know somebody who lives there, all of that kind of fun stuff, or maybe they might even be in it. Go.
And also that it's a sign of a quality production if you have really good quality sets, locations. And in this case, I'll give credit for at least 50% of the locations to Bruce Downs. He just got out and hustled. I mean, quite honestly, he carried a heavy load. Went out and got, how many locations, Wiley? Was it probably 8 or 9 at least?
Yeah, I would say so.
Probably a lot more than that, and he's going to say, "No, dude, it was 15." But a lot. He got us a pizza place. He got us the laundry, everything. Going down the list, the bank. Well, that was Gorilla, but what else?
Where else did you shoot?
Yeah, the barbershop. Yeah, I was thinking of the
Barbershop?
Oh, yeah. The script called for a specific style barber chair that had the lever on the side, so that it was maybe not giving too much away, but in the fight scene, somebody pushes a lever and somebody else's feet come up and kick somebody else. That's all I'm going to say about it. But anyway, and we found that, and through some trickery of post-production, we're faking that we had skylights like it called for in the script, because I found a ceiling that matched a picture of it. And let's see what else. Get me back on point.
All right, so the point is different locations and the necessity for the right location to fit in so that the person that is observing this film is going to say, hey, this feels familiar. All right, so let me take you around a little bit. I've had a lot of my creatives who are authors will write for specific locations, and they have to be very, very on point about it because the person that's going to be reading it, if they live around there, know anybody that does or knows anything about the area, and they screw up something, they're going to get on the Amazon.com and they're going to blah, blah, blah. He doesn't know what he's doing, right?
Oh, okay.
So when it comes, okay, and back up a little bit more. When it works, people love it. They feel already automatically connected and they are locked into what your vision is. And that's all part of marketing. People don't necessarily start out trying to do it from that perspective, but the big deal about you making these things in the first place is to make some money. I mean, we know that you like to have fun. We understand that the journey and all of this 1,000-step thing, yada, 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 then that's wonderful. But the end result, for the most part, you want a distributor. You want to be able to have people get behind the film or in front of the film, whatever you call it, when they're watching it, and you want them engaged. If they're not, then it could very well be that you just didn't get it right. So, on that point, I want you to talk about some of these other places that you filmed, and what I would like to do is give them a shout out, if it's possible, if you remember where you were at, that kind of thing, so that they might feel a little connected to this.
Okay.
All right.
I think the last thing I was thinking about was pizza. It was Cosmo's Pizza, Little Italy. Help me out, Wiley.
Yeah, Cosmo's Pizza, I mean, is it's here in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and it's not far from my house. I didn't even realize that Bruce got that location, but I've always loved their pizza, and it just kind of turned out that it worked well. So I don't know how much you want to get into story, but the location was important for basically a setup for some of the comedy.
Okay.
You got a vampire working in a pizza parlor, and there's something kind of unique about this pizza parlor, which I won't talk about.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. Well.
No, I don't want to know spoilers. Don't do that. So don't do that.
All right.
Who's the barbershop? What's the barbershop?
Well, the barbershop, it's called Executive Barbers, and it's in Sewanee, Georgia. And I'm not sure of the owner's name. I don't know if Giles.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. What about the laundry? The laundry.
Yeah, the laundromat. I'm not sure what the name of the laundromat was.
I've got her name on a card in my wallet.
Go get your wallet. Go get your wallet.
See.
All right. So it's really important to be able to get people connected into the works that you're trying to do. Do you guys have like Facebook pages and social media pages or a web page or something like that surrounding these pieces?
We do. For Atlanta Vampire Movie, it's atlantavampiremovie.wix.com. I think I got that right.
I think you did. Yep.
Okay.
Wix.com.
And of course, we have Facebook pages for Atlanta Vampire Movie, and Carter's Lens also has a Facebook page. My Facebook page is Wiley K. McCain. My Twitter is @WileyMcCain. I'm trying to get out and do more social media, but I'm not particularly skilled at that. So, but yeah, we do have great web pages for the films and the Facebook pages. Joseph Richardson, that Bruce was talking about earlier, has done some fantastic art on those pages, and we're really proud of them.
Very cool. All right, I can tell you something while Giles is still looking for the card. You're on Twitter?
What?
Yes.
I took it out of my wallet when I did the credits, so it's no longer in my wallet. But I don't know if you can see it.
I can't see it. Just read it. Read it
Probably
off.
not. Anyway, it's the one for Cosmo's Little Italy Pizza.
Yeah. Cosmo's Little.
Yeah. Brian Caruso. Yeah, is the owner. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So.
Oh, and Papa Jack's fed us one day when we shot there too, man. And that was like 15 people that he fed a hefty lunch to.
Okay. All right,
Papa
guys.
Jack's.
All right. So I was going to go over and talk to Wiley about his Twitter. Now, as someone who does a lot of social media for one thing or another, I learned about this wonderful thing called a thunderclap. And what it does is it will promote an event, and what you'll do is you'll get as many people as you possibly can to be able to push out that event all at one time on like day 14. I think you take 14 days, and it gives you 14 days to get the thing to up to 100%. And once that gets done, it's locked in and can get thousands and thousands of people to be able to hear about your event all at once, because it goes across Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter all at the same time, all at once. So get with me.
I'm taking notes.
After all of that, it's called Thunderclap. And
it's within Twitter.
Yep, it's within Twitter, but not only within Twitter, because once you'll get a link, you'll put it up on Facebook. Say you want to promote the day that the film comes out, or where the film is going to be shown first. You will make the event, and then you'll tell people where they need to go, and then what you'll do is you'll have a link for that event, okay? Mm-hmm. And you'll go to you can reach about 253 people on your Facebook, because it only allows you to get so many people to invite to send out the invite link. But then you get all of your staff, anybody that has anything to do with that film, and send out for thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Okay, that's great. I'm gonna look into that, because we're gonna have an opening for Land of Vampire movie.
Yeah.
Right, and we want to get that promoted well.
Right.
So I'll check that out and work with Giles on that.
Cool. I'll get you guys hooked up with that. And there are a number of other things you can do. Facebook, you're talking to a very, very tiny little circle, and that's one of the ways to be able to break the little bubble that Facebook likes to put us in. Also, of course, doing shows like this, but doing any blog sites, anybody that is interested in vampires or anything that is in the city itself. I would promote that through the Commerce Department in your city, because it's a local thing that you're doing there. You're helping to also promote the city. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Right. Make sure that you do a PR on your newspapers, radio, any of the radio stations. Get a press release put out there, and make sure that you hit all of that. You need to hit those about at least 2 weeks before the event. Okay, so keep it relatively fresh for the people. And there's a number of other things that right now are escaping me. But I'm going to go over to Scott Pearson, and I'm going to have him kind of carry this conversation along. Go.
Okay. I'm going to go back to Wiley, because I'm drawn to writers. Have your characters ever changed the ending of a story that you were writing? Not just in the 2 movies that I'm seeing on IMDb, but in any of your writing, have your characters ever changed the direction of your story?
Ooh, that's a good question, and I don't know if I can pin anything down immediately on that. Changed an ending.
Where's that sound guy at? He's got to get that siren out of here.
That's not me.
Oh, you heard that.
Crunchy, what'd you do now?
I know, right? You know,
It was my cousin.
it wasn't you. It was who?
The one-armed man.
My cousin.
Your cousin? Again?
Yeah,
Marcus?
yes.
You better
No,
tell
not
him to.
nothing.
You better kick him to the curb. He's trouble. All right. So yeah, he's trouble. Although he ate too many nuts this season, and I don't think he's going to be able to get too far. So, oh well, consequences to everything, right? All right. Well, what are you going to do? All right. So, Giles, characters talking back. When you get a thank you, Scott. When you get a character and develop the character good enough so that you have a good rapport with that character, do they ever, I don't know, wake you up in the middle of the night or while you're brushing your teeth or drinking some coffee or something like that, do they ever pop up in your head and start talking to you and say, I'm not doing that, or I won't work for you unless you do this?
It happens in editing, and when I'm editing, an idea will just come to me, and I work strange hours when I edit, just whenever the mood strikes. I mean, I've seen the sun rise more times than you might imagine. Did that answer? Was I headed the right direction with that?
It doesn't give me enough meat. All right, you created a character, and you're pretty invested in this character, and you know pretty much how that character is going to react and what they're going to do next, or not, in case you decide to kill them off or something. Do they ever approach you in whatever fashion? And I ask this because this has happened in other interviews, and they say things happen. Has that ever happened to you where they are trying to express themselves in a way that you would not think they would?
Well, I've been pleasantly surprised in that I had two different ways I could go with a character, where I could go with them strictly as evil and slick, or kind of evil and slick and a little bit bumbly here and there too. So those were pleasant surprises that kind of announced themselves. Yeah, like, you know, sure, I'm good for a laugh, and yeah, I'll look into the camera too. Okay, I'm not Corey, but yeah, this is the one time I'm going to look into the camera and wink. So, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the character coming out, piercing, opening the veil and looking directly at the camera and going, you know, this situation really sucks, but I think I can do something with it. And then go back to doing whatever the heck they're doing.
Exactly.
I tried to write a little...
If I'm right, I think it's called the fourth wall.
Like the Ferris Bueller thing. Just look right into the camera.
This guy's really screwed up, but I think I might be able to fix this or whatever. I know the situation's bad, but we'll work on it. All right, so gosh, where do I want to take you next? What has been the most challenging? Yeah, challenging. Go ahead, Dead Door. DD.
Giles, what got you in? What got you into the film industry? What entertainment bug bit you?
Well, I think it was when I used to watch like the Saturday afternoon matinee and Dialing for Dollars, where they had all those B movies and all the old, I heard somebody say before, Ray Harryhausen. And then it hit me, the real skeletons couldn't do that. Somebody had to have made them do that. I want to see how they do it. I want to be one of those guys that does that. That's cool, And I didn't go to film school. I went in the military. I did various things until 1999 when an opportunity availed itself to go to work for a video company. And I learned, I didn't know what MPEG stood for. And I learned it from the ground up. And I got a chance to volunteer to any excuse to work on a set. And I got to actually be a co-star in a 48-hour film festival that won third place in Atlanta, and a few other things. And it just kind of snowballed. And I made 3 short, let's see, 2 parody commercials and a pilot television comedy for my son and his friend Pat. And that was kind of my practice. And anyway.
All right, we're handling it. It's moving along. All right, so we do have Stan the Zombie is going to be coming on at 15 minutes after the hour. I know he's excited to be on the show, but I want to make sure that we finish what we're doing here before we go to Stan. All right? So wonderful, wonderful. Let's see here. Let's talk a little bit about where you're going to be taking Atlanta Vampire movie after it's produced. What do you plan on doing with this?
Well, I plan on playing the 6 steps of the Weinsteins on LinkedIn and get an introduction. 5 minutes, that's all I need.
I know, right?
Yep. And that's my goal. And it's big and bold and scary, and you know. So.
Talk about what it's like to go through searching for distribution and the different kinds of things that happen after post-production when you actually have it wrapped and tagged, so to speak, and the difficulties that happen when you're trying to get it out there to the main public.
Well, like you said, it's all about marketing. You know, you got to build up a buzz. You got to promote it you got to send out newsletters. You got to send out press releases. The trailer. That's the only thing that I'm really waiting on for Atlanta Vampire movie is, wow, when the trailer drops, it's going to be like, wow. Anyway.
All right, so when do you expect that to be finished so that people can start to take a look at the trailer for it?
Well, the visual effects, there were 25, I believe, visual effects in just the trailer, and all but 2 were done, I believe. Last time I spoke with Richard Ostreicher and Craig Murphy, our 2 visual effects guys. So 2 weeks is probably a safe bet. About 2 weeks.
All right, we're going to go.
Give it an exact day, but I'm going to drop it like it's hot as soon as it's ready.
I know, right? All right, We're going to go over to Wiley right now. Wiley, who has been your biggest supporter?
That's definitely my wife, and she probably wouldn't admit this, but I basically, when I'm developing a story, I run it by her. I use her as my sounding board, and I think the question came up earlier about you know, whether a character had changed an ending. Well, I know my wife definitely has. And that's good because she has very good feedback, and she'll tell me, well, I don't think that, you know, Carter would do that, or that's not really that funny. So that feedback is what you need as a writer. That's what I need anyway, in the way that I write. So I get that immediate response from, you know, she's my audience right there that I can bounce stuff off of and see what sticks, and then. But of course, she's a wonderful support. Besides during the writing itself, just everything she does. She's a terrific lady.
What do you do when you? What is the last thing that you do when you finish a screenplay?
The last thing that I do, well, I send it over to whoever's waiting on it, because there's always people waiting on it. Well, I mean, that's the ideal, right? Is that there's always somebody waiting on it. But I'm talking about the projects that have moved to production or in pre-production.
Right.
There are definitely folks that are waiting to see what you've got for them, and so that's always an interesting time when you send it over and it's like, are they going to like it? Are they going to hate it? Are they going to want me to write any more? As far as closing screenplay out, with something special, dinner with the family, that simple celebration, really. I don't do anything too wild and outlandish.
Wiley, I got a last question for you, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Are Ron and Camilla and Fang and Corey going to be coming back? Will there be more movies?
I don't know if Giles wants to talk about that, but the way I wrote it was that it could happen, but that, of course, is up to Giles.
I kind of like leaving it hanging, like you set it up as for a sequel, and then there never being a sequel. Maybe another parallel universe movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Some of the best ones have been one-shots, like Event Horizon. Never a follow-up, or
Right.
Yeah.
But it seems like Ron and Camilla have more story in them.
Yeah.
That can be covered in a 90-minute movie.
Yeah, I do. I think they turn out to be rich characters, and they certainly could tell another story. So we'll see. But yeah, I did leave it open. I don't have anything plotted out as far as a sequel, but we left certain elements open that if Giles wanted to do that, we could.
Do you?
I would be adverse to a sequel. Sorry.
Do you? It's that I'm having just a tad bit of an thing going on behind the scenes, and I just want to have my concentration right here, and that is all. You will not be forgotten, I assure you. I just need to pay attention to what's going on right in front of me right now. All right. And I hate that when that happens, because then it breaks everything. So take a breath, right? All right. Where was I going with this? Scott, help me out. Just go to a next question, or I don't know, stand on your head or something.
Okay.
I got one.
Go ahead, Dead Door.
Wiley, I know earlier you said you were an engineer, and that's what you did for a living. What got you into screenwriting? I mean, let me put this down, let me do screenwriting.
I had a story pop into my head, and I felt like I just had to get it out. And like I said, I'd written a lot of things when I was younger, and people really liked them. But it didn't really click with me that I could write creatively and try to make a living at it. I don't know why. It wasn't something that happened for me. So it was a story that popped into my head, and like I was talking about earlier, there's lots of stories, and I was looking for someone to help me write it, and that sort of thing. And then I realized pretty quick, I was like, hey, I'm the guy to write this, So that's kind of how it got started. I just had a story to tell, and I was busting to tell it.
Good job there, Scott.
Now that you have Carter's Lens and Atlanta Vampire movie under your belt, out of everything that you wrote before you started screenwriting, is there a special project you have in mind that you'd like to see transcribed over to screenplay and done as film?
I do have a short film animation that I did, and there's been some interest in it. It's about mosquitoes and living in the swamp. So I guess
timely story.
I know. Anything about the Zika virus or something like that? Or
way before that.
I don't want nothing to do with that thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Zika starts with Z, just like zombie. We could work with this.
Yeah, you could. It's scary stuff what it does to the little ones. So is
Shrunken
absolutely.
head zombies. There we go.
It's bad. It's all bad. All right, I need Wiley to give me his social media references and all of that before I go on to the next guest. So please go ahead and do that now while I pull up the next person's information.
Sure. I have the Facebook Wiley K. McCain. You can find me there, or at Wiley McCain on Twitter. And I mentioned the web pages for our movies earlier. AtlantaVampireMovie.wix.com, and I think CartersLens.com will take you to the Facebook page, which I'm checking right now. Yes, and that's correct. It will do that. So I just wanted to say thank you for your time, and I really had a good time, and I hope your show does well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you very much for coming on to the show. And right now I'm going to be bringing on Stan Bowman. He is known as Stan, the Zombie Bowman, and is quite popular in the conventions and things of that sort at cons. So Wiley, if you want to stick around for a couple of minutes, you can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to grab everybody and hold them, so if we start to have problems, then you'll have to back out.
I'll probably watch separate. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, then I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the show. We are going. You're very, very welcome. All right, we're going over to get Stan. Go ahead and come in. All right, Scott, let me know when he's in so that I can go and grab the other stuff I need.
I'll do that. I was enjoying talking to Wiley.
I know, right? Giles has got some really amazing people with him.
Absolutely.
I gotta click off of that and.
So, Giles, as a producer, how hard is that job?
It's you could consider it stressful, or you could consider it exhilarating. I'm trying to consider it exhilarating, you know. But it's handling a whole lot of things and having people that you can trust that are out handling everything that you can't handle. You know, there's just 1,000 details. Every single thing, the producer's responsible for making sure that it happens. So, how hard is it?
Hi, Stan.
He's there,
I only
Jackie.
did it because by default. I didn't have a choice. Hi, Stan.
All right, we have.
Hey, Giles, how you doing?
Hi, guys. Boy, you're looking festive this evening, Stan. Very nice, very nice.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, I'm at Days of Dead Atlanta, so, yeah. I have a little more makeup than I had on before.
Little bit. You're looking quite fetching. All right, so I want to make sure that I introduce you to my staff before we go any further. So we have Scott Pearson. He's head of all things green and our research department for Zombiepalooza Radio. Go ahead, Scott Pearson.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Stan. Welcome to the show.
Oh, same here. Thank you so much.
All right,
and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Very cool, very cool. Thank you. All right, now we have our resident zombie first chair co-host. His name is Dead Door William. Please, Dead Door, say hello to Stan the Zombie.
Talking to a fellow zombie. Brains. Welcome. Yeah. So,
Yes, welcome to the show. All right, and of course we have Crunchy E Squirrel, who is in the background. Go ahead and say hi to our awesome guest, Stan the Zombie.
Hey, there's no welcome.
You better run, Crunchy. He might decide to take a bite out of you. All right, okay. All right, so Stan, what brings you to be interested in creating in the zombie world?
Oh, well, I was always a big George Romero fan. I always joke around about I was zombie before zombie was cool. A lot of people think it was The Walking Dead. Yeah, The Walking Dead amplified it. I've been a zombie fan since the original Night of the Living Dead from George Romero, the old black and white version, everything like that.
Yes.
And
I saw it October 20th, 1968, in my neighborhood movie theater
wow.
Yes.
when I was 6 and loved it.
I was probably about 4 or 5 when I first saw it. It was on a show called Creature Features.
Oh my goodness.
It was the host was Bob Wilkins. It's kind of like Elvira in the 80s, right? And they always show like scary movies, Friday night, Saturday night, this and that. And Night of the Living Dead was my biggest. I mean, I loved that movie. And some people don't know, like where George Romero. I mean, I've studied his biography. You know what? He's the only one. He's like my idol when it comes to zombie movies. But I've never met him in person, and I have tried at multiple conventions, but he kept canceling. Like, oh God, oh yeah. But yeah, it was George Romero.
Very cool. All right, so we're going to get into a little bit more in depth of your creation of Stan the Zombie. You are really sought after at various conventions. You have quite also the motion picture background as well. Very cool. You started off with Ace the Zombie, the motion picture. Of course, we have Giles Shepard here. On the show, we're going to talk to him a little bit about what it was like to be able to get you for that film. But right now, the focus is on you. And so, Stan the Zombie, how did you create Stan the Zombie? What method did you use? I mean, did you have it in a vision? Did you see something and start putting things together? How did you create this character?
Well, like I was saying, I'm a big George Romero fan. And then when my kids were young, I used to get dressed up as a zombie for Halloween. I go enter the door, kids would come trick-or-treating, this and that, like, right? And then I was exposed to Dragon Con, and I never even heard the word cosplay. Like cosplayers, like people that play after, like characters. And
We should just call those Klingons.
Dressed up. And I decided, okay, you know what? I'm coming back the next day. I'm going to do my zombie routine. And I became a hit. And then in 2010, Giles' cameraman, Roy Gordon, discovered me at Dragon Con. And he's like, oh, hey, you want to be in a movie? I'm like, yeah, okay, because I never thought about it. I used to do it as a break from being an engineer, all that stuff. And so I agreed to do it. And I showed up at YDC, Youth Detention Center in Milledgeville, Georgia. And Giles never had met me before. It was Rory that had originally met me. And I had my zombie outfit in my truck, but I didn't have my makeup on, nothing like that. And so they cast me as a doctor. And then the next scene was at it was in Locals in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and the casting director said, "Oh, we know you do zombie. Can you show up in your zombie makeup?" Then all of a sudden, everybody recognized me.
Yeah, that's pretty
oh my
cool.
God, that's the guy from Dragon Con, you know, right? And so then the lead actor in Ace of Zombie, Mark Trump, I got casted for another role playing Mastermind, Uncanny X-Men, like a little web series,
Right.
and I was uncomfortable because like doing this zombie stuff was different than, you know, like being like what I call a regular actor. And so I started working with his coach, Kristen Shaw, and I worked with her for like well, got 3-4 years now. I've been working with her, and so then Giles, I mean, oh God, I hope I didn't misspell his name. I always mess up his name.
That's right.
Giles.
Don't worry about it.
He always excuses me. He was like, okay, you know, Stan, you know, we know what you're doing. And then Atlanta Vampire movie came up, and he asked me to do the role to play Dr. Acula. And yeah, of course, I was honored to do that. But you know, I've been doing conventions since then. Has my whole little stand-up zombie role, like what I'm doing now. Like, you know, right? So I'm still doing stand-up zombie right now. But it was like such an honor to do that for him, and it was, you know, I mean, by that time it wasn't as challenging as if he had asked me to do that during Ace of Zombie. I'd been like, right, because I had never been trained before, nothing
Right.
like that, and it was really funny because I had to come up with a cheesy accent. And it's like, oh, you know what? It's a comedy, so you know nobody's gonna really care, you know. I mean, so I was like, oh, I don't drink wine, you know, right? Like, okay, it was great. And then we came up with 2 comic books. We get a script in the work, everything like that. But I have to credit Giles to getting me into being an actor. To be honest with you, I mean,
What is that like for you to be able to go from taking a character that you've created, just out of, you know, whatever it was that inspired you to do that, and then be able to take that and put it into a movie setting and be able to develop the character even more? What was that like for you?
It's been poverty, but no, I mean, it's been basically
Well, you're a
an
zombie,
experience.
so what does Giles feed you? By the by, you are a zombie. How does he pay you?
Well,
in pieces parts?
friendship is what he pays me. Me and Giles are really good friends, and you know the whole term starving artist. You know, I mean,
Yes.
that's what we are.
Yes.
We do this for passion. What got me to do stand-up zombie again? I was zombie before zombie was cool. You know, like before The Walking Dead, all that stuff. I did all that stuff. Just because it was in my heart, and I've known Giles now for God 5 years, 6 years, something like that, and it's in his heart too. And that's what keeps you going, because a lot of people, they want to get into acting. They you know, it's, if you want to make this a career, you got to be ready to pay the price, in the sense that you got to really have the passion. You really have got to have it in your heart. If not, then just keep watching movies. Don't be involved in movies. Don't be an actor. Don't be a director. You know, it's really a passion. And that's what got me into.
I'm gonna have you give a shout out to Zombie Socks. Go ahead and do that. That was a 2014 Jason Lumberjack Johnson video short production. Talk about it.
Oh well, actually, Zombie Socks. I don't know if Jason Lumberjack. I'm not sure if he was involved in it. It was Elizabeth Stacy.
Oh, okay.
Who did that? Jason Lumberjack did the zombie tree thing.
Oh, all right.
Where
Superman.
I'm a zombie.
Superman Tree Service. That was his.
Yeah.
Okay.
Superman Tree Service. Elizabeth Stacy was the one with zombie socks, and I played the office zombie. And I actually stuck my head into the Xerox machine to Xerox my face, everything like that. I mean, not to kind of plug myself, but I've actually been casted in 3 comedy roles now.
Go, do that. Plug away.
My zombie character is actually kind of like comical, where I don't want to scare the crap out of people, and even though I have done that. Right.
Okay.
But yeah, I like having fun, and like doing the comedy stuff. I like okay. I don't like to scare little kids.
Right.
So every time I've been on performing, a convention, this and that, every time a little kid comes by, I drop character.
Awesome.
I'm like, hi, how are you doing? Because I don't want to traumatize, but it's kind of funny that is like if people bring you to a, if their parents bring you to a zombie convention or a horror convention, well, you're asking for it.
Right, and I personally think that there should be an age, either age-appropriate stuff for the little kids because they kind of sort of like it, but the other stuff, I just think that it's just not age-appropriate. And you're right, and I love, what you do there. I had one experience as a zombie. And there are pictures, and there's also a commercial. A couple of years ago, we did a commercial for Zombiepalooza Radio. And after the shoot was finished, I mean, I was hungry because we had been going for a number of hours, 6 or 8 hours, on that particular commercial, trying to get everything done and ready. And I hadn't eaten, and my staff had eaten, but I hadn't. So, and that's kind of sort of usually how that kind of thing goes. And so I didn't want to take the time to take my makeup off. I just wanted to go get something to eat. And of course, where does every zombie go when they just want something to eat pretty quick? I went to one of the local big name burger places.
Walmart?
And no. And I got out of the car and I, made a, pretty uneventful in the parking lot and opened up the door, and I was standing at the counter. And there wasn't anybody there yet. My husband was standing next to me. And the woman comes up, and she's looking down at some notes or something like that were in her hands. And then she comes over to the cash register, notices, I guess, that somebody was in front of her. She looked up at me, and she screamed. And I'm like, and then she looks at my husband, and he's like, she's hungry. And she doesn't want to eat me? So she needs some food. Can you? And but it was a big deal. But there were little kids. There were some little kids that were in there, and I understand about that. Don't be in character unless you want to scare the crap out of somebody. Because if your makeup is done right and the setting and all of that kind of thing, you can do that. And there were some little kids that came up, and they're like, "Oh wow, that's like really cool." And I'm like, "Yay, that worked." So, but I did take a walk into the Wally World after that because it's right adjacent to where I was, and I had people that were like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna walk the other way," and then I had a couple of people that were following me around in the store with their video, taking pictures and video of me walking around. It's a different kind of thing.
Yeah, the horror, if you're talking about like the horror industry, this and that, it's not comedy, it's not drama. You have to be respectful.
Yes.
I've had people like, oh, why don't you go walk into a grocery store, do this and that. I'm like, you know what? I'm respectful of the people. They don't go to the grocery store to go see a zombie. Okay. Usually most bars I can walk in because if they drink, yeah, okay, a whole different thing. But not with kids hanging around. I have 4 grown kids. This and that. I mean, I used to do this, of course. But I was talking about like how it got started. Doing whole stand zombie stuff. But I'm not gonna disrespect somebody. They don't go to a grocery store, ice cream parlor to see a zombie. Now, if you come to a horror convention like I'm at, like right now with Days of the Dead, well, then
They
you ask
expect
for it.
that. All right,
Yeah.
give me a talk about what Days of the Dead are in Atlanta right now, and how long you're going to be there, and what the event really does.
Days of the Dead. Oh, actually, they told me tonight that they actually added a 5th convention. So now it's Indianapolis, Chicago, Louisville, Atlanta, and Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
It's basically a horror convention. It's not just zombie like what I'm doing. In fact, because I'm in a Atlanta vampire movie, I'm not a zombie. I'm a vampire.
Yeah,
right?
you're one of
the
us.
Other unliving dead.
Yeah, right?
And people were telling me like, oh wait, you can't do it because vampires hate zombies and zombies hate vampires.
No, they don't. Not
Coke
all
and
of them.
Pepsi, Ford and
Yeah,
Chevy.
right?
Not
Right?
all the time.
Right? There you go.
So it was I mean, basically it's like a horror convention. I mean, I know a lot of horror actors, everything like that. And what's really great is that with the smaller conventions like Days of the Dead, you really get to meet the actors. Like when you go to some of the really big conventions like the Comic Cons, Dragon Con, this and that, it's really hard to go up and talk to somebody because there's like so many people and you can't sit there and actually have a conversation with them. And it's really nice. I mean, it's basically it's called Days of the Dead, but it's more than zombie. It's like vampires. It's Dracula. It's like whatever type thing. And that's why I have this needle sticking out of my head right over here, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm doing one of my stand-in zombie outfits, which actually was my original one, was the professor. But I'm trademarked now with my business suit. But yeah, go figure.
That's really cool.
I mean, it's been really great. But sometimes like people are like, "Oh, well, you're really a horror fan." I'm like, well, some horror movies I like, but I'm like an apocalyptic fan. I love apocalyptic, like destruction of the world, kind of weird fan in that sense. I love horror. I also love like apocalyptic. I love that stuff. And yeah,
we're gonna go over to Giles right now, and we are going to ask him to stay on camera. There you go. All right. So, what was it about this particular character that you really wanted for your film, as far as him being a vampire?
His personality.
I know he's got lots of it. I could see that
He's
like that.
hysterical. He doesn't even have to sell it. He's just got natural comedy timing. His acting skills. He's an amazing guy, and one of the people that I'm lucky enough to know. That's one way that I've been blessed.
All right, I want to ask you. I want to go. I now remember the question that I couldn't remember because I got distracted. Giles, last year I created a 5-minute comedy kind of thing that was going on between me and Dead Door to get people to learn more about who he was and what his character was based on. And I needed an engineer, and I needed it only for 15 seconds. And so I'm creating a comedy that is a radio comedy, and it took me about 3 weeks just to write 5 minutes. And even when I did it, it was okay, but the timing was kind of off, and it was a little bit difficult to do. people a lot of times think, oh, you're making comedy. How difficult can that possibly be? Let me tell you, Stan, if he says that you've got good comic timing, then that's amazing. And people, I believe, are born with the ability to do that. You cannot teach the timing. You can teach everything else about it, but if they don't have that timing, you've got nothing. Talk about the timing. Talk about how difficult it really is to write comedy. Go, Giles.
Comedy, everything. There's a joke about comedy timing. You ask the person, what is the secret of comedy? So go ahead, ask me.
What is the secret of comedy? right?
It's all about the timing.
Dead Door,
Anyway.
Dead Door knows a number of actors because of his background and things and people he associates with. And one of his friends told him to tell me that it is truly all in the timing. And that means you have to have, if you have a laugh track, you have to have it right in there. If you have people that are live audience, you better make sure that nobody does anything that's going to derail what is happening right in front of you. Also the baselines for the script, there needs to also be this rise and this fall, and much like the same thing with the regular screenplay, you have to have that sense of pacing, and comic timing has to fit into it. If it doesn't, then you've got just a bunch of words on the page and it's going to fall flat.
Yeah. A lot of that's done in editing too. Like if you have a real intense scene, then you might need just a moment where you hang on a shot longer than you have been because you tend to cut faster, like over the shoulder shots when it's a real intense conversation or a fight scene, they might be a half a second long. But if it's just me and you and we're having this conversation, it might be done in a two-shot, and just very, very slowly it might, maybe drift over to an over-the-shoulder shot or something like that, or a love scene, moments where you're trying to get that emotion high. You don't do a lot of fast cutting, and luckily, as an editor, I know what I'm looking for performance-wise and coverage-wise, so I'll be able to put it together later in an edit. And I'm pretty good at cutting stuff together, making shots match, and all that. But I think one of my strengths as an editor is seeking good advice. Lots of people have had suggestions for me. I've stolen a lot of my best edits. Yep, I stole that idea. Thank you very much. And as a director too, you borrow shots from other directors. Hey, it worked in that film, and it's perfect for this. And if somebody spots it as, hey, that's a Hitchcock, that's right, it's an homage. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to go over to Stan.
Hey.
All right, so I get to, when I first started doing this show, I interviewed a lot of people from that show that's on Sunday night that people love, love, love. And I bring the background characters on. And I always say that the background characters for that particular show, if they weren't there, then we'd have another boring soapbox opera and all of that kind of thing. But one of the things that I like to ask them is what it was like, and I can now ask you because you've had experience and you're going to have more, what is it like to get on the set as either a zombie or as a vampire and be able to stay in that particular character along with how they dress you and whatever your makeup is and all of that? What is that like for you once you actually see yourself on a piece of film?
Oh, it's never easy. I was joking around with Giles and Bruce about when we Bruce before then and Brian about doing the ADs, the audio dubs, and I hate hearing my own voice. When I used to be an engineer back in the days, this and that, I always had to change my voicemail and had to change the voicemail every day. It'd be like, oh, do you want to play the message back? Like, no, because I think as humans, we're very self-conscious to start off with. And when doing the zombie stuff, it really didn't bother me. When doing regular acting roles, like with a Atlanta Vampire movie, where I don't have all this makeup on, this and that, it's really much more difficult. It's really, I hate to hear my own voice. I think most people do. And seeing yourself on film, and when they kept playing the scene back, I was like, oh, I mean, geez, God, you know, I mean, we're always our own worst critic. And yeah, that was a hard thing. It was very difficult hearing my voice through the headset, this and that, and yeah, you know.
Yeah, but the results come out, and apparently they were good enough to be able to keep you in the film itself, because if it came out, I don't know, flat or something like that, you wouldn't be in the production. You would be like, that was a very nice try, but we need to replace you. And they chose to keep you.
Giles has a lot of faith. Giles has a lot of faith in me, and I really respect that. And a lot of people do. I mean, I'm in several movies this now. I've been doing this for a while, but you still can't get used to. I mean, okay, do you like always hearing your own voice?
Hell
I mean,
no.
You're sitting there. You know?
Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. And let me tell you. When my show has been through like 3 transitions here. When I first started doing this, it was audio only, and I was cool with that. And there were some issues, but I was cool with that. I didn't like the sound of my voice. I still have issues with it. But then when we started moving, we moved over to live stream, and that was about a year and a half ago. We did that, and I was like, my producer, director at the time said, yes, this is a good idea to do. You need to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't like this. And I fought, and I was like, oh, hell no. And then after that, no, I didn't. I was petrified. Few people know that, you know, I mean, if they watch the show, you can't tell, except if I'm really, really tired, how nervous I actually really am. Because I need to make sure that everything is going the right direction and that people are liking what we're putting out there. But like that 20 minutes, and this always happens to 20 minutes right before a show, I am a super bitch. I'm just like, just don't talk to me, don't look at me, and I gotta go do my face, I've gotta get some clothes on to look halfway decent, and I've gotta.
You know what's funny is Zombie's the only one that can actually handle her and calm her down.
I know, right? And it's true. My zombie here, Dead Door, he is just an amazing individual. He understands the different kinds of things that come into putting productions like this together because of some of his background. And when he would be like, you know, away with the other guys that he works with on set or something like that, and there'd be a time where I wouldn't be able to have him, I would be like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I can't think. Because you get into this comfortability of all of that, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. It's an interesting learning process for yourself, though, too. Look at how much you've gone from just liking the idea of the apocalyptic to making a character to people love, and then going from all of that and getting yourself put into films. It's an amazing process. You should be so proud of yourself. Yes.
It's passion is what it is. I mean, there's no other way I would do that. I mean, I was the shyest kid in school when I in elementary school. I was the one that mumbled. I was the one that sat in the back and please don't ever ask me to go up to the chalkboard. And Please don't ever ask me to speak in public. Please don't ever, this and that. And I think it got to a point, I love challenges. And I was like, you know what? Screw this shit. When I got into high school, I shocked everybody. They were like, oh my God, you were the quietest kid. You never said nothing, this and that. And, a lot of them say, Stan, will you please shut up now? You talk too much now.
We're glad that you can speak, but do you really have to do it continuously? I don't understand this.
Well, I just got to that point. I was like, you know what? Life is boring when you're shy. I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. You know what? I know, because I was raised very strict Catholic, and you didn't say nothing to embarrass you. Like,
or the family.
you
Oh,
don't shame the family. You don't this and
no.
that.
All right, so we're going to go over to
Hello?
Scott Pearson. We're going to go over to Scott Pearson and see what he has to say about stuff.
Well,
What?
I'm actually wondering what started you doing the makeup and going out to events. Was it doing Stan the Zombie and what was it, Zombie Socks and Scary Times, or did you do it before that?
Was Zombie Talks? Well, I was already Stan the Zombie, and Elizabeth Stacy, she invited me to be on her show. I apologize. I'm having a little bit of lag. I don't know if it's a lag.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My phone, this and that, right? But when she asked me to be on there, she already knew who I was as Stan the Zombie, and I had to play the office zombie role. It wasn't bad in the sense that I didn't have to speak the lines. I just had to do be in character, and and when I stuck my head into the Xerox machine and started Xeroxing my face, they loved it. I mean, it was more like character acting. Not like some of the roles I had to, even with AVM, I had to speak. And I'm like, oh, Giles, please, I don't want to let you down. Oh, God, it's very difficult. It's a different thing. It's kind of like if you're a mime, where you just this and that. And almost being a zombie is almost like that. It's like, wow, I don't have lines to remember. I can just, I mean, it's basically improv. I don't really consider being a zombie acting. I consider it performing.
You've got a point there about that. You are right about that.
A very good point.
Yes, it's boy, of all of the actors that I've actually brought on there, they never really said that it was more like that. But when you are performing, there's an art to it, as opposed to just, I guess, being an actor. In the actor, you seem like you're very confined in what the role is. But when you get to be a performance artist, you get to do your interpretation of whatever the character is. Is this right?
Yeah,
or
because doing the whole Stan the Zombie thing, I created the character. I mean, I based it off of George Romero, not George Romero himself, but I mean, off of his zombie characters. That was the stuff I liked. I loved Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his. I like traditional. Whenever anybody calls me, oh, what kind of zombie are you? I was like, oh, I'm a traditional Romero zombie. They're like, well, yeah, I'm not a speed zombie. I don't run. I wish I could. But yeah, oh, geez, I really can't run that fast anymore. When acting,
the cemetery zombie ran in the very first zombie movie. The cemetery zombie chaser.
But the whole thing with being a zombie, and even friend of mine, Greg Terrace, who he does the lead. He's co-producer and does the makeup for The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
He's the same way. It's like, okay, you're dead. You can't run. Your muscles are rotting. How in the hell can you run like an Olympic sprinter when you're dead? I mean, the whole zombie thing is like that. Like, you don't know where they're at. The numbers, the sheer numbers, is what freaks you out. I mean, if you go one-on-one with the zombie, you can kick his butt.
All right.
We're gonna 10 of them on you.
We're gonna bring on the only representation of zombies that we have on the show, and that would be Dead Door William. Maybe you guys can, have a little chat there, talking about your character, because Dead Door created his own character for the show. Go ahead, Dead Door.
Did you create a backstory to stand to?
DD wants to know if you created a backstory to your zombie character.
Oh yeah. In fact, Giles knows that, right? I always have a backstory. Even when I played MMOGs, I used to play World of Warcraft, EverQuest, all this stuff. All my alts, all my characters have a backstory. And yes, Stan the Zombie has a backstory. Yeah. Oh yeah. How I became a zombie, and I mean, I'm an actor. I mean, okay, you have to have your through character. You have to have your overall objective. Your character has to have a meaning. It's not just a character. It has a purpose. It has a beginning and an end, and a middle. Well, it doesn't have to have an end, because zombies, of course, were like immortal. Yeah, I have a back character.
What, DD? Your sounds are all crunched up right now. You might have to go back out again. I know, right? Okay. Bandwidth over where DD is. I think Crunchy's been gnawing on the wires again. Gonna have to slap him upside the head.
Yeah, because he sounds really broken up. To hear what he's asking me.
What I would like to do.
It's really hard to hear. All I hear is like. Burp, 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 burp.
All right. What I would like to do at some point, Stan, is I'd like to get a written email interview with you. So I'm going to send you some questions, and
okay.
We're going to do that, and then perhaps at some point when you're not so busy, be able to sit down with you and have a one-on-one conversation off air, and go over some of this stuff. Because I find that the whole idea of character building is a lot like D&D. My children, they like to play it. My husband played it.
Dungeons and Dragons? You played Dungeons and Dragons?
Long time ago. Don't ask. I wasn't very good at it either, so don't. That's
You're
why.
You're younger than me. I don't want to hear that.
Oh, you have no idea. I might clue you in as to how old I really am sometime. But the whole. Right. The 1912. It's kind of old. Yeah. So it was a good year though. Very good year. What I'm trying to get at is there's a lot more that goes into the production of a character, especially when you are well known for this character, and people are going to be, asking questions, and they're gonna want to know a little bit more about what the background is on this, other than some of the stuff that they've just seen by film or perhaps on some other page. So that's why I want to do that. We're going to go over to Giles right now, and we're going to hopefully not crush his name anymore tonight, but I'm working on it. When you see someone who has a fully developed character in one particular genre, and you are able to see that they could take elements of that character building and put it into another character, non-human character, what are you looking for in that particular actor what kind of things need to be present for them to be a part of one of your productions?
Sincerity.
That they understand character development. You have got to, in my opinion, yeah, you have got to have a backstory to your character. I've done over 3 years of Strasbourg acting. We call it through character. Ivana Chubak, I've studied her work. It's called Your Overall Objective. Your character has a backstory. Your character wasn't born yesterday. There's a reason why your character is angry, mad, has to justify themselves, something. You have got to have, that's like your own, like who you as a person. You have developed yourself. You are who your past created. I mean, they can clone you, but it would not be you. They don't have your life experience. They don't have your past, this and that. So when you look at a character, you have to develop that character. And if you're the creator of that character, yes, you have to have a backstory. You have to have a reason why they feel this way, why they, I mean, even a zombie. Okay, like when you were mentioning, I said but I can't divulge too much, but it's like, okay, there's a reason why my character who he is, and otherwise you're just playing around. And that's what I liked about Giles, is that he, in his stories, he develops his characters, and he knows what he wants them to be. And
cool.
I'm not a writer, but I'm an actor. But that's my job. If I didn't create the character, like I created Stan the Zombie, this and that, but Giles created his characters, first movies, this and that, and it's my job as an actor, and working with the creator, the director, to understand what's my character's backstory. Why is my character angry? Why is my character vindictive? Why does my character want, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's essential. Why would you write a story without character development? Why would you have a character in there if the character didn't have a purpose? If you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. But see, the question.
Character development is essential. Sorry, I have a little bit of lag. I don't know if it's on your end or my end. Hello?
I'm still here.
Jackie.
You still there?
Oh, we lost your sound.
She can click her own link, though, right? Looks like that's her.
No,
Sort of.
she cut out. It's gonna. There.
All right, hang on.
There you are. We got you.
I'm still here. I didn't
I
leave.
apologize. I'm getting a little breakup.
Okay. All right. What? I don't want to hear anybody else right now other than Dead Door.
It was your sound.
Okay. Yeah, it's coming in and out. We don't have any storms going on out here, but it's a little bit wonky. Anyway, what I was trying to say was that question was actually supposed to be directed to Giles, and I wanted to get his take on that. But I appreciate you, Stan, for giving us that commentary about the question. And I'm going over now to Giles. Are you still there?
I am.
Okay, so I want to get your take on the question that I asked, and it was, when you see someone who has an ability to create a character from nothing, bring it out and be very buoyant about it, and just be totally and completely in that character, and then have an idea for that character to be able to go into a different element, a different genre, what are some of the things that you are looking for that will assure you that you can make a good transition, I should say?
It's something about the charisma, is that a good word for it? Maybe not. But there's certain types that you would cast for, like Bruce Willis. He's always the burned out cop.
Right.
He's real good at that. But he's also very sensitive. I've seen him in some movies where he was, wow, what a great dramatic actor. Just as one example. We have actors of that caliber that are on their way up. I'm not going to say I discovered anybody. I just happened to be lucky enough that they, came on board for a while on their way up.
All right. Very cool. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to go over to Stan, and I'm going to have him say if he's got any social media or anything like that before we go into the 4th hour, and that will just be with Giles. So do you have any social media or anything that you would like people to know where you're going to be?
Oh, sure. Well, you can always Stan the Zombie on Facebook.com. I also have Stan the Zombie on Instagram. I usually don't get all my personal unless I know the people.
Right.
You know how that is.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm very protective over my friends, this and that. But generally, StanTheZombie.com, Stan the Zombie on Facebook, that gets updated all the time. I mean, I've got pictures coming up tonight from Days of the Dead.
Cool.
Like that.
All right, cool. Very cool. Okay, so I'm going to...
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You were awesome. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so I'm going to have Dead Door. I'm going to have Dead Door say his final goodbyes to you. Go ahead, Dead Door.
Okay.
Dan, it's been awesome having you on the show. Glad there's another talking zombie out there besides myself.
Oh my God, 2 zombies?
Mm-hmm. 2 talking zombies. Careful out there and don't get double tapped.
Right. Don't get shot in the head. All right, Scott. Go ahead and say your final goodbyes.
It's been awesome having you on the show. I can't wait to have you back on.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the Zombiepalooza radio show. Go ahead and up at the top of the screen, go ahead and click to leave call.
Good night, Stan.
Okay. Good night.
Night.
Scott, put your earbuds in. We'll get an echo from you.
Yeah, Scott, get your earbuds in.
I'll sing Crunchy over there.
Put those things in your ears so I don't hear myself, because I don't like that. No likey. All right, so, wow, we've had 3 hours talking about filmmaking. What kind of topics have we not hit in this 3 hours that you feel are important to the creative process of filmmaking?
How about aesthetics?
All right.
Such as production design, proper lighting, as you were talking about before, continuity.
Right.
The cigarette doesn't jump from one hand to the other unless it's for comedic effect. That's bad. You got to pay attention to those details. What else? Well, wardrobe and production design. Where you consider colors throughout, like a palette. Some movies you'll notice that there's a lot of khakis and browns. Some movies are, a lot of blue, and it's done for stylistic reasons and to set the mood. And let's see, we haven't talked about any filmic rules. I don't know. Is that considered boring? The 180, the sight line, how you don't jump from one side to the other and all that.
I am interested actually in getting into a lot more of the aspects, just like what you're talking about, because we don't get to touch on that very much. Most of it is just talking about whatever the person has produced and the people around, like we've done for the past 3 hours. since you've got a lot of experience, though, in film production, and you are talking about these different kinds of things that people might not take into consideration as they're trying to make their first production, to give us a little bit of an idea of what it's like to make sure that camera angles are done correctly, because sometimes you get a shot and you're like, oh, I didn't quite get the angle that I wanted. What kind of things go into doing that? Go.
Well, that's when you reset everybody back to one, and do it again. I don't leave the scene until I have what I know I need. So.
All right, then maybe what I should have asked is what exactly goes into understanding shot angles? Go.
Okay. There's it's been over 100 years now since motion pictures. They've established pretty universally accepted rules, and it's important to understand so that you can put together something that has a natural flow to it. And so, two characters are supposed to be facing each other. You show one character, the other one wouldn't be looking the other direction. They should be looking at each other. Just all sorts of little things that you got to, and it comes down to your director of photography and your assistant director looking out for you. Everybody's watching out for the 180 line. Everybody's watching out for continuity. Move the cup. Whose backpack is that? Get that out of the shot. Nothing should be in that frame that wasn't planned.
Talk about framing.
Okay. There's a couple of different schools of thought on that, and I guess Stanley Kubrick would fall into the rigid category, where if you notice, like in The Shining, everything is always centered up. It's always, 99% of the shots, these dead center in the middle of the frame. And then you've got the rule of thirds, where you got the 1/3, 2. That's the rule of thirds. But I go in more like a rule of fifths, where I go 2/5 instead of the middle. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
It's off just a little bit, and the character that's over here, if they're having say a heated conversation or it's a love story, then when you cut to this angle, they'll be on this side of the frame. You cut back to the other person, they're on the side where they would be facing them and close. But if they're grown distant, then I'll frame them on the other side, the outsides of the frame. Does that make sense?
Actually, yes.
Further apart in the frame.
Okay.
Like, yeah, we're just not connecting, baby, and we're all the way on the other side, pretty much. It almost looks like the other side of the room when you cut from one shot to the other like that.
Are you using digital cameras or digital video when you're filming?
Exclusively.
Okay, so talk to me about frames per second when it comes to digital filming.
Oh, well, the original frames that were established way back when was 24 frames per second. And that's because this is just a 30-second history. Because the human eye can discern that there's anything under 21, you can see that there's like stop motion, but over 21, so they set it at 24 because it goes by so fast that it looks like a continuous motion picture. And I was going somewhere with that too.
Where is the digital as compared to digital?
Okay, in digital, they're getting very close to emulating film. I mean, just so close. And there's filters and there's color grading that you can do. You can even add a little bit of grain to kind of fool the eye, things that you expect to see, like maybe even a little bit of shutter. What do they call it? Like wobble from side to side occasionally, like it's really running through a gate.
Right.
So I don't know. You got your holdouts like Christopher Nolan, and he's just, the film school should be teaching film. Well, geez, dude. Once this generation dies off, there will be maybe one company somewhere in Korea that manufactures film, and it's a special order, and you got to wait 2 months. You're not going to find it on the shelf anywhere. Digital is the way.
Talk about filters for digital filmmaking process.
Well, let's see. You got what's called an ND filter. It's basically it's almost clear, and it's used mainly if you want to be sure you're not going to get something on the lens accidentally, and you use it in combination with forget what it's called. Maybe they're darker. Maybe they're still called neutral density filters, but they're darker. You know, there's like a 20 and a 40. I'm not even sure. I'm just throwing numbers out, but Rory's my expert in that. All I have to do is tell him what I need, and he'll figure out how to get it. You know.
How does daylight affect digital filming?
Daylight it's a delight if it's overcast, because then you don't have any hard shadows. You don't have to worry about, geez, you know, we're losing time. It's 2 hours later and the shadows have already moved, like, you know, 5 feet on the camera. That's always a consideration. So when they say magic hour, it's like the 30 minutes right after dawn and right before dusk, when there's no shadow and it looks like the light from a China ball. It's just directionless. It's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. That's the perfect situation, and it's, you know, nature's lighting.
All right. I did some not film production. I did some photography with my kids, and we did a apocalyptic theme. And I didn't learn about the shadow effect until I actually started taking those particular pictures, and I was cussing the blue streak because I don't want the shadow in there. But sometimes I've found that the shadow is effective. If you want to, if they're walking away and you want to give a sense of being able to get that person to be pulled into that, so that they feel like they're actually, there's movement going away with the characters and getting them to correspond with what's going on in the picture or in the scene. I found that was useful. Am I full of malarkey when I say that, or is there something to that?
No, in fact, I've deliberately created shadows, like of a character walking in front of a light, to cast that long shadow on the hand. So yeah, they're very effective when used properly. Sure.
All right.
And they don't even really hurt anything if you're filming outside, as long as there's not such a remarkable difference, like in continuity problems. You know, it was 3 o'clock when we did this, but yeah, that was noon, and the shadow was over here.
Right. All right. So.
A question about that.
Go ahead, Dead Door.
If you're shooting outside, where do you want the sun to be compared to camera?
Ideally over the photographer's shoulder. It's not ideal for the actor because it might be in their eyes, but you get a better picture. If it's backlit, then you got to consider bouncing light onto their face, or some additional artificial illumination. You know, you see those great big lights that Hollywood uses, you know, that are like 3 feet across. Yeah, they're lighting up people's face if they're backlit too much, and yeah.
Right, it washes them out. Dead Door, you got another question? And great question, thank you, Dead Door.
Give me a few minutes.
Okay, I certainly will. Scott Pearson, do you have any questions at this point? I can't hear you. Scott? All right, Scott, you're probably going to have to back out and come back in. All right, we're going to... Oh. Sorry, Scott. All right, the Google Hangouts has been very temperamental today. All right, so we're sticking in the line of different kinds of things within the filmmaking process. I am interested in sound Not all sound is being picked up actually when it is happening live, right?
Right.
Okay, so talk to me about the sound engineer and what the purpose of their place is within a film.
Okay, the sound engineer is the one that's responsible for cleaning up the background noise, like using filters, noise filters, leveling the sound. Like if something's too soft, you can't really hear it. Make sure that it's at an audible level, and that the music is mixed in properly, so it's not overpowering the dialogue, and that those special or sound effects that you've worked so hard to work in are also so it's and it kind of varies depending on what should be prominent too. So it's quite a job, and you have to do that not only for each scene, but then each scene has to match each other scene throughout the movie, so that you have a level sound throughout the whole. And it's supposed to be so naturalistic that it sounds like somebody just had a microphone there on the day, and the radio must have been on. Listen to the music; it's awesome, But that was actually, probably 1,000 hours of work. Who knows,
All right, Scott Pearson, we're going to try and get you back on. Go ahead and ask a question if you have one. I got no audio on you, Scott. Don't throw your phone. I don't know if he's on his computer or if he's on his cell phone, but whatever it is, it's not working right now.
Your cell phone, yeah.
I don't know, he lost sound. Okay, so we are going to be, we're still speaking with Giles Shepard, and he is creator of Ace the Zombie and Atlanta Vampire Movie. Some of the things that you had to deal with that film, as far as, since we're on the subject of sound, anything that seemed to be an anomaly when you were doing it, and then it kept showing up here and there?
We did have some sounds that when we played them back during post-production that we didn't hear it while we were recording it. I don't know if it was I don't know, like voices. I don't know. I don't want to say EVP, but I mean just wow, that was strange. We didn't hear that on the day, or would have noted that, because that's what the sound recordist does. He keeps a log too, and anything about the shot, dog barking or this was good take, or so it would have been noted. But yeah, we've and sometimes like depending on the placement of the microphone,
right.
You wouldn't want to use a mic that was 15 feet away for the close-up shot, for instance. And they don't always mix, which I didn't know. There's so much to the art of sound that I don't know, that I'm happy to say that I have experts doing the jobs that I don't understand.
There's your cat.
Yeah. Oh, you can see her?
Oh, yeah. I know. Crunchy does. Yeah, Crunchy does not like cats at all. What happened with Crunchy before we actually brought him onto the show is he was running from a cat, and he got on top of a roof, which happened to be on the roof of Dead Door's house, and he found himself having to jump off the roof to get away from the cat. Well, he did that, and then he landed on Dead Door's head, and so as Dead Door is pulling the squirrel off of his head, and he's looking at it, and Dead Door's like, "Oh, snack," because he's on his way out, and Crunchy goes, "No, don't eat me, I can blah, blah, blah. And he started talking about all the cool things that he could do. And so then he brought Crunchy to me, and he's like, well, we have this anomaly, and he speaks. And so we found out a little bit more about what was going on with Crunchy and all that, and how he had the ability to speak. And yeah, so these kinds of things happen. But he does not like cats. All right, Scott, we're going to try and get you one more time to do a audible question. Say something. I have no idea why we cannot hear him, but we cannot hear you.
I don't know.
All right, and I'm not going to waste any more time trying to figure it out. So, Scott, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I got a question. Have you ever kept any of your anomalies to use in other movies?
Jedor, type the question in the chat so I can ask him, because your sounds again are just, I don't know, we're just getting crunched all over the place. You see how this is running live production?
Oh, sure. This is about like filming a movie.
Yes.
Control chaos.
Right. You know, that I used to ask this question. What does? What was it? Best laid plans of mice and men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Show me your plan. All right. So we are involved in trying to have a pretty good discussion on. No, it's not better. On filmmaking and the kind of like the different kinds of things that go in. So, DD wants to know: have you used those sounds in other movies? When you capture sounds, or when you do these things to be able to get the right sounds, have you used them in different pieces?
Ah, okay. I do have a rather unique situation for an indie filmmaker. I'm friends with a guy who is the Hollywood sound librarian. That is his, like Stan the Zombie carved out his niche. Steve Lee's niche is that he runs the Hollywood Radiophonic Laboratory. He's a mad scientist there. Sound librarian for Hollywood. So he has access to sound effects going all the way back to the Fay Ray movie King Kong, all those screams, and Indiana Jones or Disney or pretty much anything. Any sound that's ever been made, and he's a specialist in making his own sounds that have never been heard before. And that's what he's working on for this movie. So, Steve, I plugged you, dude.
All right, so he's trying to talk about the sounds that weren't there on production day and found them in the post. I see what he's talking about. Dedor wants to know, because you had talked about some sounds that were found when you were actually looking at it or listening to it that shouldn't have been there, that showed up anyway, and he wanted to know if you'd used any of those in anything else you've worked on.
Oh, yeah, I use what some people would consider blown takes sometimes because, the dog barked at the right time. Fine, leave it in. Neighbors have dogs. It's true. Actually, in the Atlanta Vampire movie, somebody upstairs flushed the toilet and you could hear the water going through the pipes. Or they're running the sink or something, but you could hear like whoosh in one of the takes, and that was the best take. So, hey. They're in a house, All
right, so we are going to move from sound, and we are going to go over to equipment. What are different kinds of equipment that one might find useful when creating a short film?
Well, if you're going for production, true production value, then you have to take into consideration the things we were talking about, lighting. You can never have enough light. There's no such thing as too much light for an indie film. That's the one thing you'll probably catch the house on fire from all the plug-ins if you had as much light as you'd really like to have. Let's see. The lights from Home Depot are real helpful. You know, the work lights, the dual things. You replace them with the LED lights, and you got something there. You know. Let's see what else. A couple of dollies. I made one that's about, I guess, 1.5 feet long, and probably sits up about 4 or 5 inches off the ground, and it's got a fluid head on it. And I call it a ninja dolly, and it'll just, you know, it'll roll the camera, and it gives you can put it on like a card table or anything flat, really, even sideways or upside down, and you get a nice, smooth, even shot. In any film, we tend to make a lot of stuff. Before my director of photography got his own glide cam, you know, that's like a steady cam that mounts the body and stuff. I made one that's it's weighted on the bottom. It's like a long pipe, and then the camera sits here. So the weight on the bottom stills the thing. It tends not to want to go sideways because of all the weight pulling down. It's like 2.5 pound weight, and it's the perfect counterbalance, and it gives you a real steady shot. It cost me about $6 with tax for the parts at the hardware store. Just made it out of screw together pipe fittings. You know, and a lawnmower handle, so it'd have a nice grip.
That's cool. I want to see pictures of that stuff. I think that is just cool.
You want to see right now?
Yeah, well, if you got it right now, that would be cool, but I don't know with the lighting that you have over there, everything is red.
Yeah, and I would have to go digging in my prop room, too.
Yeah, so, So, all right, talk about props since we're on that.
Yes. Never underestimate the importance of having something that will sell the scene. It's got to be believable. I've been fortunate to work with Ace Talking Wolf on both of my films, and his basement, every room, every closet, every shelf, everywhere you can imagine is full of props. Even his bedroom, he's got props in there. He supplies props to movies. You know, he'll like show up with a truck full of his props, and you know, he'll kind of like keep an eye on them through the day. And you know, they might be at a bazaar at some place that's supposed to be Mardi Gras or something like that. He's got all different categories, a lot of vampire stuff, a lot of zombie stuff. And see what a lucky guy I am to know people like these people that I know. It's true. And we've made a lot of our own props too. On Ace the Zombie, Joseph Richardson, again, the guy that did our posters, he designed what went inside the medical folders, and we put that together. And a couple of things I had to drill were so thick that I clamped them together and drilled through it with a drill. I made a 6-foot-tall stand-up one time as a prop. See what else. Book covers, all the little details and photos that sit on the mantle. You know, you wouldn't even notice it unless you were specifically looking at that spot, but it's the right thing to be in that spot because this is a couple that lives here. That's their honeymoon, or that's a trip they took.
Right.
That's their grandkids. And you get relatives off of Facebook, you know, naturally with permission, of course, so that everybody has a family resemblance.
Right. All right. So talk to me about the importance of setting the scene since we are there.
Yeah, it has to feel like natural, like not contrived. Lived in is really good. Like if you're going to go shoot somewhere, when you ask them about it, tell them don't clean the windows. You know, you want it to have lived-in details. I think it was George Lucas invented the term the lived-in future. You know, where everything's high tech, but it's already old at the time, and it's all beat up and scuffed, and you know, it's lived in.
Right.
That makes it believable. Yeah, like having that tarnish on the leather jacket. You know, where the color's coming off a little or something.
Right.
Indiana Jones, all those details.
It's called texturing.
There you go.
Right. So, all right. Now we're gonna go and move over to wardrobe. Where are different kinds of places that people can look for pieces to be able to either put together themselves or to that are actually fully done and they can go and they can pick off the rack, so to speak?
It depends on what kind of costume you're looking for. If you're looking for something, some like naughty kitten or something, or a magician or something like that, you go to Eddie's Trick Shop. If you're looking for something that looks authentic, like medieval clothing, you'd go to the Renaissance Festival, and they have vendors there that sell these handmade clothes with the eyelets that lace up and all that stuff. And sometimes you can get creative. You know, maybe use one of those silver hazmat suits as a space suit. I've seen that done before. And if it's dressed up properly, it's amazing what you can make. You know, sometimes you have to get creative. But when it's human clothing, our wardrobe department is mainly bring everything you have and let's see what works.
I know, right? All right. So
for our newscasters, because it had to represent different days over the course of months in the story, so they had to have like different color shirt, different tie, you know, details. Sorry.
Okay, so we're going to go over to another detail-oriented piece for filmmaking. We're going to talk about practical effects. Talk to me about some of the practical effects that you had to do with, let's say, Ace the Zombie.
Okay, practical effects for people that are wondering what the difference. Practical effects are the ones that are done.
The sound has cut out on Giles. Anybody else's sound also out? Okay, so his cut out. I don't.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, your sound cut out. Your sound cut out for a hot minute. All right, so we were talking about practical effects, and you were talking about what actual practical effects means before we were going to go and talk about some of the things that you did for Ace the Zombie. Go. I still can't hear you. All right, I don't know what is going on with the sound, but something is. He didn't move at all, and I don't understand why the sound cut out on him. And yours is all crunched together. And Dee, your sounds are crunched together. I cannot hear anything that you're saying, and I can't hear Giles at all. So I'm just trying to find out why we lost sound on him. We don't have sound on you, Giles. And back out of it and come back in. Everybody's sounds are all crunched together except mine. Scott, I cannot hear you at all. So just go ahead and back out. I'm going to try and get Hi.
Can you see me?
I can't. I got a picture there, but I can't see you. No, your camera's shut off. I don't know what happened. It could be Google having an issue, so I might have to just call this a wrap because as I'm seeing it, it is not getting easier. And I'm getting frustrated, and I don't want to do that.
I'm sorry. Well, I mean, the only thing I'll come back on. I'll come right back on if you want to stay.
Yeah, go ahead and back out.
Okay, I'll be back in just a minute.
All right.
All right, Jackie. I restarted. Does that sound better?
Yes, but I don't understand. I mean, normally when we do this show, everything comes out and it's nice and it's smooth and everything works. Right now, it is all not how we do things here, and I'm not interested in watching a train wreck, and I don't think anybody else would be either.
No. For Scott, I don't know what happened with Scott because I still get an echo every once in a while off of his feed.
Right, but you know, if you can't come on and do, you know, say anything, then it's kind of.
Jackie, I apologize.
Hey, dear, and it's not. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this a wrap because there are too many things that are busting apart and there's nothing I can do about it. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on to the show and talking about Ace the Zombie and Atlanta Vampire movie. I think those are very cool projects, and we look forward to hopefully bringing you on at some point in the future and being able to get this thing to work better for you. So thank you very much. I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon, right?
Thank you, Jackie. It was a pleasure. You have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Good night.
Thank you, Giles, for coming by. That's been awesome.
Absolutely.
Yes, and Scott and Crunchy Squirrel. It was nice talking to you guys.
Very cool. All right. Well, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Zombiepalooza Radio Live. We're going to try and get our stuff back together again for next Friday and pull off a 5-hour show. Why don't you tune in to see whether or not we can do that or not. Talk to you later, everybody. Bye.
Good night, good evening, and a good morning.
That's all, folks.